Welcome to the Caltex Theatre, a full hour of dramatic entertainment broadcast over a nationwide network of stations throughout Australia. The Caltex Theatre is brought to you by Caltex Oil, marketers of over 1,000 outstanding petroleum products, in association with Caltex dealers and distributors everywhere. Tonight in the Caltex Theatre, you will hear a rib-tickling comedy, Both Ends Meet. The story of a witty review writer who, in a case of mixed identity, landed himself in as pretty a farce as ever he penned. In the starring roles of tonight's play, you will hear Melbourne artists Mary Disney and Robert Peach. The Caltex Theatre presents Both Ends Meet, Act 1.
Oh, dear. Hello? Yes, this is Mr. Davenport's house. Mr. Tony Davenport? Yes. No, he's not in, but I know he's expected because I'm waiting to see him. And the cleaning woman said that... yes, with pleasure. I'll make a note. Just a minute, a pencil. All right. Who? Well, this is an honor. I've had the pleasure of meeting you twice. But you wouldn't remember. It was a sort of business. So I didn't get the opportunity to say how much I enjoyed your performances on the stage. No, I'm not a friend of Mr. Davenport's. I'm just waiting for him. What? When I met you? Well, both times I was waiting at the stage door. Well, I am a fan, but actually, as I said, it was, business. Well, I don't expect you want to talk about it. Actually, I was doing what I'm doing now, waiting with one of those annoying bits of paper about income tax, a writ. Yes, that's right. Hello? Hello? She's hung up. What a pleasant room this is. Opens right onto the garden. Oh, roses. I must see what species they are.
Rushing me off my feet, Margot. The filler will be hours late. I get to know a punctual newspaper man.
Reporters are important, Tony. You need all the publicity you can get. And don't forget it's opening night tomorrow.
Heavens, it's not the first review I've written.
The first good one for 2 years. And if it's a success, we'll get
married anyway. Look, he'll be here at any moment. You'd better pop up to your own flat.
Oh, what on earth?
Well, we don't want him to think things. Actress in writer's flat, etc.
Oh, really, Tony?
What the... Oh.
Congratulations. You have an absolutely perfect maiden's flush.
I've what?
Your roses. Your cleaning woman let me in to wait for you. I hope you don't mind.
Mind? Of course not. You know Miss Ross? Margot Ross? Excuse me a minute while I put these things in the kitchen. Have a drink.
Oh, I don't think
Of course you will. Margot, the Napoleon brandy.
I never touch it. It's far too expensive.
Expense? What does that matter? It all comes off the income tax. Entertainment allowance. Lovely.
Large one?
Thanks, no.
Oh, perhaps a whiskey or a gin.
Thanks, no. Not while I'm working.
I suppose you have to be careful, people offering you drinks all day.
I can't say they do.
Oh, come now, all the ones I've met.
You've had some of my colleagues to see you?
Of course, lots of them.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Why? They've always been most charming.
Just because our job's unpleasant, it doesn't mean we're unpleasant.
I wouldn't have thought newspaper work unpleasant.
But I'm not a reporter.
Oh, how stupid. Tony expected a reporter and we thought you were he. And what can he do for you?
Pay his income tax.
What?
I'm sorry, this is most embarrassing, but I have a writ for him in my pocket.
Oh, bang goes the wedding.
Well, here we are. Looky, looky. Champagne. Krug 45. Aunt Sophie sent me a case of it. It'll be the last one, though. Poor old dear died last week in Switzerland. Oh, Margot, you haven't given the press a drink.
I couldn't find the hemlock.
Oh, that's Margot, always joking.
I don't think so, Mr. Davenport.
Oh, but you must let me give you something. Anything.
You don't know what you're saying, darling.
Oh, yes, I do. Now, what'll you have?
£1,022 10 shillings, to be exact.
Oh, what a lovely line. £1,022 10 shillings. I must use that.
You've already used it.
I'm Wilson, income tax inspector.
Oh, no.
And this is a writ for the amount.
But I paid my tax.
2 years ago.
How much did you say, Mr. Wilson?
£1,022 10.
But this is terrible.
It's a distasteful business. I dislike it as much as you do.
Well, surely I should have had some warning. You could have seen my accountant.
I saw him yesterday. He told me you were abroad, in Venice.
And you didn't believe him?
Should I have?
Well,
What happens now?
Mr. Davenport just settles up and everyone's happy.
except Mr. Davenport.
Mr. Wilson, can you accept a check?
Oh, yes.
Then everything's all right.
Margot.
Everything's all right.
Is it?
I'll just make it out for you and you can sign it.
All right, dear, if you say so.
I'm so glad we've got this nicely settled.
Sign it, Tony.
There you are, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, and goodbye.
Goodbye, Mr. Wilson, and do come again.
Margot, are you mad? Goodbye, Mr. Wilson.
Well, that got rid of him.
Margot, what about the check?
Next year's date. Such a silly mistake.
Oh, you darling. But he'll be back.
That's the way you'll go when he comes in the front.
Uncle Tony, darling.
Clarissa, in here, dear.
Oh, it is good to see you. And Margot, darling.
Clarissa, have a good time.
Heavenly. Rome is fabulous. Why don't we live there?
Yes, why not? In the ruins.
Who was the old man I bumped into as I came in?
Oh, he was just collecting money for some institution.
Yes, the Government Bloodsuckers Institution.
He looked a bit shady to me. I hope we didn't leave him alone with the silver.
Mr. Wilson didn't leave with anything of value.
Oh, good. I really must unpack. My things will be crushed to bits. Give you my news in a minute or two.
I think I'll telephone Jimmy.
What good is a solicitor now?
He's always full of bright ideas when you don't need them. Let's see what happens when you do. Hello? Oh, is Mr. Scott Cartwright there, please? Well, if he comes in or telephones, will you say Mr. Davenport would like to speak to him? Thank you very much. Goodbye. You know, Tony, I was thinking we could save quite a bit by letting my flat.
But where are you going to live?
Darling, you're much too old to be so naive. Here, of course, nobody would mind.
Oh, no, nobody would mind. They'd think it very gay and jolly and great fun, but I love you.
Well,
Well, among other things, that means I respect you. And you will admit it would be madness to rush into marriage when I haven't a bean.
so what? We're going to be some time, and the only reason for not anticipating a happy moment before was Aunt Sophie and how shocked she'd be.
I know, but
And that doesn't apply anymore.
I like to respect her memory.
Do you think she's left you anything? That huge house in Paris?
Well, that was years ago. She's been living in Switzerland for ages.
Well, then she must have been rich.
And I was her favorite nephew.
The favorite?
As a matter of fact, the only nephew. Oh, what we could do with £5,000 or £10,000.
Pay your income tax.
Income tax. How I hate that William Pitt.
Hate William Pitt?
Yes, he invented it to pay for the wars with Napoleon. Then Sir Robert Peel revived it and also invented policemen to arrest you for not paying it.
Uncle Tony, Margot, I've got some wonderful news for you. I met the mostest man in Rome. He wants to marry me, and I said yes.
An Italian?
No English. We came back together. His name's Edward Kinkerby. Just think, Mrs. Kinkerby. Isn't that wonderful?
You must love him.
No, just a moment. I don't know a thing about him.
Oh, don't be stuffy, Tony. He's Edward Kinkerby.
Well, after all, I am Clarissa's guardian as well as her uncle.
What does your Edward do, Clarissa?
Something to do with finance.
Finance? A banker?
An accountant, I think.
He sounds very nice.
Then I can marry him. He'll be around in a minute. He was just dropping his bags at his room in Ebury Street. This'll be him now.
Oh, it might be Mr. Wilson. Tony doesn't want to see Mr. Wilson again.
I'll look at the legs through the letterbox.
Well, an accountant in the family.
Very, very useful.
Uncle Tony and Margot, this is Edward.
Well, how do you do?
Hello.
I hope you don't mind me barging in like this. It was Clarissa's idea.
No, not at all, not at all. Delighted. Do sit down.
I hope it isn't too much of a surprise about Clarissa and me, Mr. Devonport. You are Mr. Devonport.
Oh, Clarissa never introduces people properly. Edward Kinkerby, that's right, isn't it?
Yes.
Tony Davenport, Clarissa's guardian uncle.
And Miss Margot Ross.
I have a flat upstairs.
Oh.
Completely self-contained.
Oh.
We're engaged. We're going to be married.
Oh, really? When?
Oh, we haven't quite fixed the date.
I only hope we won't be too old to get to the church. I'll go and make some coffee.
Well, I expect you'd like to know something about me.
Oh, no hurry. Excuse me. Hello. Oh, hello. Just a minute. It's my accountant. Clarissa, wouldn't you like to show Edward the garden?
What for?
Not for anything. I just thought he might like to see the garden.
Come on, Edward. You're going to see the garden.
Hello? Hello? Are you there? Oh, there you are. I haven't what? Oh, some oversight. I'll see to it. Yes, I know. 1,022 pounds. No, not 700. 1,020. What? 700 on top of the 1,022. Super tax? What do you mean super? Super what? Nothing super's happened to me for the past 4 years. Did I? When? 2 years ago. And that was super? Was it? But you can't expect me to remember things that happened 2 years ago. You know the trouble with those Inland Revenue boys? They live too much in the past. Yes, I've noted it. Thanks. Goodbye.
I must say your roses are doing well.
Well, I'm glad something's doing well. Income tax, super tax. How I hate those tax collectors. I'd like to take them by the throat one by one, and with schedules A, B, C, and D...
Tony, will you come and see to the kitchen sink? It's choked.
Of course it's choked like the rest of Britain, with rage, frustration, and income tax.
Well, let's get to work on the sink first.
I shall be delighted to join you in the kitchen, my love, where we can slowly but firmly put our heads in the oven.
Oh, don't worry, children. It's an electric oven.
Poor Uncle Tony. Anything to do with income tax sent him frantic.
Clarissa, dear, I want you to know that the few weeks I've known you have been the happiest in my life. I've dreaded saying anything to spoil it.
Nothing could, darling.
There's something I can't keep from you any longer.
You're not already married?
Of course, with 9 children.
Oh, darling, my heart nearly stopped.
No, it's nothing like that. It's about the office.
Yes, darling. You have an office at Westminster and you're an accountant.
I didn't say I was an accountant. I work for the Commissioners of Inland Revenue.
Oh, glory! Shut the door, quick! Well, this is worse than the 9 children. What are we going to do?
Well, look here, I'm in a good, respectable position, good salary.
Darling, the point is, how are we going to tell Uncle Tony?
Drop it in casually.
Oh, so simple, like saying, oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, Edward is the public executioner. Why didn't you tell me before?
Well, I was afraid you'd think of me as just that, the public executioner.
I didn't say I thought you were.
But people do. It's awful. Fellows out at school will avoid me. People point at me and mutter. Why, I'm a social pariah.
Don't be silly, darling. But obviously we can't tell Uncle Tony yet.
Oh, no. He'd throw me out of the place. We'll think up something later.
Now, Edward, can I offer you a drink, or will you wait for the coffee?
I'll have coffee, thanks.
Right. So, you're an accountant, Interesting job. Enjoy it?
He's very fond of it.
Yes, I envy you. Every day thwarting those revenue boys, thinking up ways of doing them in the eye.
I must finish my unpacking.
Can't I help?
No, I shan't
Oh.
be long.
Oh, careful, Clarissa. You nearly caught the tray.
Oh, sorry, Margot. I'm just going to finish my unpacking.
Cream, Edward.
Please.
Edward, how did you and Clarissa meet?
In Rome, in the Forum. She asked me which was the temple of the Vestal Virgins.
How refreshingly original.
She's been training to be a nurse, you know.
We were worried she might marry a doctor. Oh, we've nothing against doctors, but it's the life.
Well, there are compensations. Doctors can make quite a bit on the side.
Oh? How do you mean?
Asking for cash down so he doesn't have to show it in his returns.
Oh, no.
Well, it has been done, you know.
But doctors are men of integrity.
Doctors are men. And men, even men of integrity, are being driven by impossible demands to do dark deeds.
But you know all about that in your business, Edward.
Well, not really.
Oh, you're just being tactful. Look, where does being honest get you? Look at me. I've declared every penny I've earned. Every expense I've claimed has been legitimate. And what's the result? I'm in the gutter.
Well, everyone has a difficult time. You know,
Difficult? In my profession, it's practically impossible. Look, can I say to Mr. Sylvester, he owns the theatres and puts on the shows, can I say, Mr. Sylvester, here are the review sketches. Just leave a little something in cash on the desk. Can I do that?
Edward could tell you how to do it.
Do what?
Cheat, swindle. He must know all sorts of artful legal ways of getting out of paying.
If I may say so, I don't see how a swindle could be legal.
No. If I were to tell you a few things about Mr. Sylvester, you'd change your
Perhaps
mind.
you'd better not tell me.
Mind you, the theatrical side's all above board. It's his other ventures.
Whatever he does, it can't be legal. There's the law and there's breaking the law. Don't you agree?
No. Life's always on the move and the law's always rigid. Nowadays, trying to conform to the law is much the same as trying to walk about in Tudor corsets.
Edward, what do you think is the best way of getting out of paying income tax? Now, take your time before you answer. You know, I have been told something about buying up bankrupt hat shops, but I don't know.
I do. You're not buying any bankrupt hat shops. A, you've nothing to buy them with. And B, the whole thing would go wrong and I'd finish up wearing all the bankrupt hats.
Well, it makes my blood boil. There's Sylvester getting away with murder. A chain of fish and chip shops all over Britain. Oh, very carefully in another name, of course. His name and profits carefully concealed.
I don't
and
think
those inland revenue half-wits will never catch him.
Oh.
Not only fish and chip shops, the elegant Mr. Sylvester, who's seen dining in all the smartest places, controls a fleet of barrow boys. 100 barrows and no cash records.
Oh,
kept.
really?
That's a fact. How do you think he runs a Rolls-Royce, a Bentley, 2 other cars, houses in London and the country, a villa in France? Oh, I ask you.
Another thing. Perhaps this is news to you too, Tony. That secretary of his, the elderly woman with grey hair, that, if you please, is his mother.
His mother?
Every Friday she draws £20. Off the income tax it comes. Every Saturday she hands back to her darling boy £20 in cash. There's 1,000 a year free of tax to begin with.
Oh, not as much as that.
Well,
You see...
whatever it is.
Oh.
And you can be sure that's only one of his many dodges.
But that's a wonderful idea. Why didn't you tell me before? Margot, you're my new secretary. I'll pay you $500 a year. You see, Edward, I give her £10 a week and she gives it back. Now, what could be better than that?
I don't think I'm a very good person to ask, actually.
Well, you must admit it's simple.
Well, not really. She'd have to pay on that 500.
Typical. To pay tax on £500 I don't even get.
Edward, come on, give me some helpful advice.
You really want me to?
Yes.
Well, here it is. Pay up and smile.
Is that the advice you give your clients?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Are you doing well?
Yes.
Amazing.
After all, the country is going through difficult financial times. We're not out of the wood yet.
Well,
you
why
know.
come out? I like the wood. It's nice and shady.
Full of nice, shady people.
Oh, you don't mean that. Of course, men like this Mr. Sylvester should be looked into, but well, on the whole, people are pretty honest, you know.
Honest? The law won't allow you to be honest. Now, look at us. Margot would love a big church wedding, to walk down the aisle wearing a lovely white wedding dress and 2 pages.
Not pages, Tony. Pages are always disaster. They either stand on the bride's train or lift it so high the guests think they're at the Folies Bergère. We won't have pages.
No, we won't even have guests.
What?
Well, you know perfectly well we couldn't be married publicly.
What do you mean?
Edward, Margot and I are both wage earners. Now, if we marry, our incomes are added together and we're taxed even higher. Isn't that true?
Oh, yes, oh, yes.
See, Margot. But I've had an idea. I ran into a man I know the other day. He's now in the Merchant Navy, in a little coaling ship that sails all round Britain. But that isn't all. He's the captain. Now, he can marry us without anyone knowing. Now, here's my idea. We embark at Tilbury at night, we sail for Newcastle on time, and somewhere in the North Sea, between Tilbury and Newcastle, we are married. Nobody knows. You can move in and live here, and though the world may think what it will, we 4 will secretly know we're a respectable married couple. Of course, nobody must ever be told. If you're ever questioned, you must just say that we're simply very good friends.
Oh, no. Now you've reached the peaks of madness.
Well, the laws are mad, not me. To evade mad laws, one must do mad things.
I am a woman. I want to be married in church wearing white. You say no. Because of the laws, that's to be given up. You are not going to wait in a morning coat for me to come down the aisle in white satin. No. In a coaling ship, somewhere off Clacton-on-Sea, you and I are to be brought before the captain on stretchers.
Why on stretchers?
Because we're in the North Sea and are both, if you remember, very poor sailors. There, in front of the captain, we too, miserable, seasick, and presumably covered in coal dust, are to be united forever in a furtive secret, unmatched since the marriage of Mary Queen of Scots and Lord Darnley.
But, Margot...
No, you can forget that. Definitely no.
Well, I was only trying to see...
Margot!
It might be Mr. Wilson.
Clarissa will answer it. She knows.
Jimmy Scott Cartwright, come in.
How's things, Clarissa? Hello, Margot. Hello, Tony.
Jimmy, I didn't mean you to come all this way.
Oh, it's all right. I was in the neighborhood fixing up a nice, lucrative divorce. I telephoned the office and they gave me your message.
Oh, Mr. Kinkerby, a friend of Clarissa's, Mr. Scott Cartwright.
How do you do?
How are you?
Oh, sit down, Jimmy. This is all to do with finance, which is the reason why Tony wanted to see you. Edward, what is your room in Ebury Street like?
Well, it's a room.
Margot means, is it nice? No, Margot, it's a bit on the dingy side.
Well, here's my idea. Tony has this house on a very long lease. I have the first floor flat. Clarissa has 2 rooms on the second. Now, unfortunately, Tony's old stick-in-the-mud accountants insist on including the rent I pay as part of Tony's income.
Yes, well, of course, that's perfectly correct. You see,
Correct it may be, but perfect it is not.
No, indeed. Now, I'm a solicitor, Mr. Kinkerby, so I do know what I'm talking about. Now, the thing to do with a house like this is to let up every bit of it you don't need to friends. Friends who just quietly pay cash and no questions asked. Mary and I have been doing it for years.
Have you?
Oh, years. I say it's all right to talk, isn't it?
Oh, yes, of course, we're all friends. Edward's an accountant.
Then I'm not telling you anything you don't know.
Oh.
Why, Tony, how do you think we managed to run the Bentley?
Edward, how much do you pay for your room?
4 guineas.
Fine. Tony, we'll convert the attic floor. Edward, you now have a charming little flat, and Tony gets 4 guineas a week free of income tax.
We're saved. Edward, you'd better move in at once.
I'm afraid it wouldn't be possible. It's very kind of you, but I think I'd better stay where I am.
But you'll have a proper flat, a nice one.
I really am most grateful, but... Well, I couldn't.
Look, if it's the legal side that's bothering you, do let me assure you that it's all perfectly all right. Scott Cartwright and Phillips are a most upright and old-established firm of solicitors. We wouldn't go in for anything in which there was a chance of...
Being found out?
Exactly. And I assure you, my partner, old Phillips, is doing much better than I am at this letting racket. He's got a huge house just near here, absolutely packed with friends.
Well, let's think about it.
But what's there to think about?
Edward, you agree there's nothing wrong in diddling the income tax people?
I don't agree at all.
Edward, let's talk about it later.
But you mean you think I'm wrong in offering you the flat?
Since you ask...
Edward!
Since you ask, yes, I do. You'd get into the most serious trouble if you were found out.
But it couldn't be found out. If by any chance any questions are asked, you're just a friend. But in point of fact, that'll never come up, because the tax people will never know, believe me.
I don't believe you.
I beg your pardon?
I said I don't believe you.
Edward!
Clarissa, I don't think your Mr. Kinkerby is very polite, is he? I offered him a flat free of income tax.
Look here, Kinkerby, you say you don't believe me.
I don't.
Edward, let's go for a walk.
You don't believe me in spite of the fact that I've been successfully operating this racket for years, making nearly 600 a year out of it?
How much?
600. And the poor old tax collector hasn't the least idea, not a clue. And you don't believe me.
I expect Edward thinks we're trying to palm off something rather nasty. The attic doesn't sound very attractive, but, Edward, I know when you see it.
It isn't that at all. I'm sure it's very nice, but well, I can't have anything to do with an illegal arrangement.
Can't you?
No.
I don't know about you, Clarissa, but I'm beginning to have grave doubts about Mr. Kinkerby.
Well, I have no doubts whatever.
You have grave doubts about me just because I won't break the law. Well, let me tell you...
Let me tell you that I do not like being shouted
I
at.
am not shouting. I'm simply trying to tell you...
Grave doubts is what I said. Now, you want to marry Clarissa. I'm her guardian, and I wanted to marry a man who's likely to get somewhere. It seems to me that an accountant in the modern financial world...
But I am not an accountant.
And why did you say you were?
He didn't. I did. I misunderstood.
Well, Edward, what do you do?
Please don't let's go into that now.
I'm sorry, but I'd rather get things straight.
No!
What's the mystery? Are you in something disreputable?
Not in the least. Quite the reverse.
Edward, dear, listen to me.
Be quiet, Clarissa.
What?
Be quiet!
Oh, full of old world charm.
Really, you arrive at my house for the first time, you shout at me, you insult my niece. I hope this will be a lesson to you, Clarissa, to think twice before picking up strange young men when you're abroad. Because I can assure you I'd think a great many times before agreeing to your engagement to Mr. Kinkerby.
That's unfair.
I don't like his manners, and I wish he'd now go away.
I shall be glad to.
Oh, Edward! Edward!
Oh, I should just let him go, darling. He's a very ill-bred young man.
He isn't. It's not his fault. You put him in a terrible position.
I put him in a terrible position. What are you talking about?
It was so embarrassing for him.
What was?
It's not his fault I thought he was an accountant.
Nobody said it was, darling, but you must agree.
I don't agree. It's his work.
Look, perhaps you'd explain.
What is his work?
What does he do?
He works in an office.
Go on. He works in an office.
In an office of the Commissioners of Inland Revenue.
What?
The Commissioners of Inland Revenue.
You mean he's one of them?
Yes,
And you brought him here, right into the bosom of your family?
but I didn't know.
And we treated him just like one of us.
Oh, an income tax official as a nephew-in-law. I'd never have been able to raise my head again.
Tony, and I told him about my 600 a year from lettings.
Great heavens, I tried to let him a flat on the side.
I told him about Sylvester, the fish and chip shops.
Phillips and his letting racket.
The Barrows.
And Sylvester's mother.
Oh, Clarissa, you've got to get him back.
Edward?
You've got to get him back.
If I do get him back, can I marry him?
What do you mean, can you marry him? You've got to marry him.
And so the curtain falls on Act 1 of tonight's Caltex Theatre play, Both Ends Meet.
Next time you fill your tank with gasoline, fill up with new power, new performance, new economy. Fill up with Caltex butane boosted gasoline. That's the gasoline made to take better care of your car's performance. Designed for today's faster pace. Caltex butane boosted gasoline at the sign of the Caltex star, where we take better care of your car.
The Caltex Theatre now presents Mary Disney and Robert Peach in Both Ends Meet. Act 2.
What time is it, Margot?
Oh, nearly 3 o'clock.
Do you think Clarissa's found Edward, but he won't come? Why should he come back? We all insulted him.
What are we going to do? We still haven't worked out any proper plan of campaign.
We shall have to emigrate, Tony. America. That's it. The land of the free.
Is it?
Well, isn't it? The first thing you see is the Statue of Liberty.
Yes. The next thing's Ellis Island. A friend of mine was very successful as an Indian fakir. When his creditors finally caught him somewhere near Calcutta and asked him when he was going to pay up, he smiled sweetly and put his finger to his lips. He'd taken a vow of silence. Jimmy, what are we going to say to him?
Say to who?
To Edward.
I'm wondering what I'm going to say to old Phillips.
But old Phillips doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. After all I told your chum about him.
I mean, it doesn't matter now.
Have you ever seen old Phillips? Silver hair, skin like parchment, always wears a stock. The most respectable old man in the city.
Well, as it turns out, he's not all that respectable, is he? So a spell in Dartmoor will do him good. Put some colour into those parchment cheeks.
Oh, don't.
Well, you'll probably be in the dock with him. Don't worry. He'll engage the best counsel in Britain.
That's what worries me. The best counsel, the only man for the job, wouldn't touch it.
Why not?
Well, I've good reason to suppose he's operating the room-letting racket himself.
You know, from a nation of shopkeepers, we seem to have turned into a hive of landladies.
Will you two stop panicking?
I told him twice about my 600 a year. How can I tell Mary life is nicer without a Bentley? Later, we were going to sell it and send young Jimmy to Cambridge to read law. No chance of that now.
Probably just as well. You wouldn't like to think of young Jimmy turning to Chapter 5 and reading all about Dad in the case of the Crown versus James Scott Cartwright.
Tony, you and I haven't done anything wrong.
Oh, no, we're only informants about Sylvester. I also asked him point blank the best way to get out of paying income tax. Look, I spent at least 10 years running through life with the commissioners after me like a pack of wolves. Now they'll be all round me snarling and baring their teeth. Oh. Hello. Geneva. Yes, I'll hold the line.
Oh, Tony, Aunt Sophie's left you something. I told you so.
Yes, with my luck, it'll be nothing but debts.
Oh, don't be ridiculous. Didn't she send you a case of champagne?
Yes. Now she's probably died and left me the account.
Don't commit yourself. Don't
Right.
commit yourself.
Hello? Oh, allô, j'écoute. Je ne quitte pas. Allô? Non, Monsieur Davenport n'est pas là. Il est parti.
What did you say, Jimmy?
He said he's gone out.
But I want to know what it's about.
Tell them to get onto the office. They can deal with it.
Yes, good idea. Écoutez, voulez-vous téléphoner numéro... what is it, Jimmy?
City 1111.
C'était... 1. Oh, heavens, now she's talking German. Haben Sie gut... Oh, are you English? Oh, beg your pardon. Now, will you put this call through to City 1111? Ask for Mr. Phillips. Thank you.
Oh, really, Tony? How ridiculous.
I don't think so. Look, once they got hold of me...
Come on, steady on, you two. If it was anything important, Tony would have heard of it days ago. That was probably to tell him of some small bequest.
You can't know that.
Pardon me, but I can. You'll find she's left you possibly a few books or some linen or perhaps some small piece of china.
China.
Of course, there may be funeral expenses.
Jimmy, couldn't it possibly be something exciting?
I'm afraid not.
Oh, well. Tony, what was Aunt Sophie like?
Well, I only met her once. I was still at school. My father took me to see her in Paris. I remember her as a magical sort of person. Very beautiful, very gentle. She had the most graceful manners. I loved her. I remember the Duchesse de Guermantes had been to tea with her the day before. It all sounded too wonderful for words.
Well, I must be getting back to my office. I'll keep in touch.
It's all right, Jimmy. Thanks for coming round.
I'm sorry I did. No, don't get up. I left myself out. Bye-bye.
Bye, Jimmy. Oh, you never know, Tony. She might have left something.
You heard Jimmy, probably China.
Well, old china can be valuable. I'll get it.
Remember Mr. Wilson?
Of course.
Is Mr. Davenport in?
Oh, well,
Could I see him? Traherne's the name, Sir George Traherne.
oh, do come in. Tony, Sir George Traherne. Sir George, Mr. Davenport.
Good evening. I hope you'll forgive this intrusion.
Yes?
I am an old friend of your Aunt Sophie.
Oh, how nice.
Dear Sophie, radiant, unforgettable. Yes, I was greatly saddened to hear the news. I had occasion to telephone Geneva. I spoke to her solicitors. What's their name?
I'm afraid I don't know.
Oh, haven't they been in touch with you?
No, not personally.
Then you don't know the terms of the will?
Oh, is there some trouble?
Oh, no, good heavens, no. It's just that dear Sophie has been kind enough to mention me. How does she put it? I trust my nephew will give to my old friend Sir George Traherne some remembrance of young, happy days.
Oh, well, of course, Sir George. I'll only be too pleased.
Tony will find you something personal of hers. Some books.
Or a piece of china.
I don't think that's quite what she meant.
Well, you must tell us quite frankly exactly what you would like.
Oh, how kind you are. Well, I have come here on a delicate mission.
Delicate mission, Sir George.
A delicate mission, that's what we used to call it. I was in the diplomatic service, attaché in Paris and so on. That's where I first met Sophie. She was living in a most unpleasant little flat. Shortly afterwards, she moved to a delightful house just off the Champs-Élysées.
What happened between the unpleasant flat and the delightful house?
Sophie and I met on the stairs of the embassy at a reception.
Yes?
That's all.
It hardly explains the move, does it? One's fortunes don't change just because you meet someone on a staircase.
Depends who you meet. I was an extremely wealthy young man.
I beg your pardon.
Oh, don't misunderstand me. We fell head over heels in love.
And you set her up in the delightful house.
Naturally.
The whole thing was done openly.
The whole thing was done quietly. I was in the diplomatic.
And just what is your delicate mission on this occasion?
I once gave Sophie a little something. I can't conceal from you that it would be nice if you... how shall I put it?
Returned a little something?
Precisely.
How much was it?
10,000 pounds.
10,000? Good heavens! Excuse me. Hello? Oh, hello, Jimmy. Aunt Sophie? Yes. How much? Oh, Jimmy, this is no time for joking. Seriously? 120,000 pounds. Good Lord. What's that? No snags. That's what you think. Thank you for ringing. Goodbye.
I couldn't help but overhear. You're a very fortunate young man.
But I don't understand it. If you only gave Aunt Sophie 10,000, where did the other 110 come from?
Well, I think it's plain that she did invest her money wisely. She had a great friend on the Paris bourse, another who was a banker, another in the champagne business. They would have given her excellent advice.
Nothing more? No more 10,000s?
Oh, good heavens, no. I was the only man your aunt ever cared tuppence for.
Oh, now who on earth can that be?
I'll answer it.
This place has been like Victoria Station today.
Mr. Davenport. I'm an old friend of his Aunt Lord Minster.
Oh, come in.
Thank you.
Another old friend of Aunt Sophie's, Lord Minster. Mr. Davenport.
Well, forgive my intruding, Davenport, but I was nearby. Why, George Strahern!
Dickie!
I'd no idea you were in London. Such sad news about Sophie. We all knew one another in Paris, Davenport, at the embassy. Good old George, a few years older, but still able to get about her.
Really, Dickie, that juvenile manner of yours ill becomes a man well over 60.
Well, I'm sorry, George, but I just grow younger every year.
You're going to be most embarrassing at 80.
As grumpy as ever. Come and dine with me.
I'm dining at Vicky Hollander's.
Well, so am I. I'll give you a lift. I felt I had to stop by and say hello to Sophie's nephew. I say, Davenport, I'd no idea she had so much money. Where did she get it?
Well, early in life, she made a very good investment.
On the market?
On a staircase.
I'll drop in tomorrow, Mr. Davenport. Come along, Dickie, if you're giving me a lift.
Nice to have met you, Davenport. I wonder if I could see you tomorrow. I didn't expect to find him here. It's just a very small financial matter. A little gift I once made Sophie.
How much?
5,000.
Come along, Dickie.
Just come in, my dear fellow. Tomorrow morning.
Bye, Lord Minster.
Cheerio, dear.
Well,
10,000? 5,000. Presumably she met Lord Minster during the sales.
Tony, whatever happens, don't let it worry you.
Worry me? Do you realize, Margaret, there's 15,000 gone in 10 minutes? And what about the rest, all the other gentlemen?
We don't know there were any others. Sir George said he was the only man in her life.
He said the only man she cared tuppence for. There are a lot of tuppences in 120,000. A friend on the bourse, another who was a banker, another who was in the champagne business, and that's only Paris. There are plenty more cities in Europe, and Aunt Sophie was a great traveller.
Tony, you must keep calm.
Calm? How can I keep calm? Do you think it's nice to be told your gracious, charming aunt was, in point of fact, a sort of Madame Zaza?
Oh, really, Tony? You built a sentimental picture of a gracious woman sitting around in her salon like a sort of Whistler's aunt, with her silver, her porcelain, her objet de vertu.
Objet de easy vertu.
And you're furious to find that far from being anything like your picture, Aunt Sophie actually had a life that was full of interest and intrigue.
Well, I'm not criticizing her. One would expect a lady as beautiful as Aunt Sophie to create a lot of interest. But I don't feel I can bring myself to profit from the intrigue.
Why not?
Well, would you?
Like a shot. And what about Sir George and Lord Minster?
Well, if they want it, there's a moral obligation, isn't there? It was theirs. It is theirs. Well, surely you can see in the circumstances it's only right and proper.
I can imagine no circumstances in which it's right and proper for dissatisfied customers to return 30 years later and ask for their money back.
You know, Margot, I think you're right.
You can't be under a moral obligation to men like that.
You are right. Absolutely right. They shan't have a penny, not a penny.
And you're going to accept the money, aren't you?
Well,
There's £1,022.10 income tax and super tax of £700 owing.
Oh, Lord, I'd forgotten that. I've got to accept the money.
Hello, darlings.
Larissa, did you find Edward?
He's in the hall.
Well, bring him in. Come in, my dear fellow.
Well, I wasn't sure.
Oh, I hope you didn't take too much notice of what I said before. I was a bit out of sorts.
Oh.
Well, he's done it.
Done what?
I've thrown up my job, pension and all.
Well, that was a bit sudden, wasn't it?
Well, I was in the most awful fix, you know. I'd heard a lot of things I shouldn't have heard. Oh, I know I should have spoken up and told you about myself.
Oh, my dear Edward, we absolutely understand why you didn't. But what happened?
Well, from here I went to the office and made a few notes in my personal file.
Notes?
Yes, about Phillips and Sylvester. Our department handles their assessments.
Oh.
I left my office to see if I had any personal mail, and when I returned, my file was missing. I went into Murgatroyd's office. He's my boss. I mean, he was my boss. And there was my private file open in front of him.
What?
Oh, he couldn't make anything of my notes, but well, I was very indignant. Snooping's all very well, but well, not within the office.
Edward, tell them the romantic part.
Oh, it's not really. Well, Mr. Davenport, I felt I couldn't go on loving Clarissa and betray you and your friends.
There. Isn't that sweet?
And if I wasn't prepared to be a Judas, I was no good to the department. So I gave in my resignation.
He's a different person.
I feel terrific. Free.
Oh, it's wonderful news, Edward. And we have wonderful news, too, Clarissa. Aunt Sophie has left Tony £120,000.
Oh, no! Why, it's fabulous.
Oh, I say, that makes it worse. An heiress and a jobless fiancé.
Wait a minute, darling. You said you'd like to be an accountant.
Oh, but that takes ages, darling.
But it's what you'd really like. So, Uncle Tony, would you finance Edward during whatever period...
Oh, I say, just a minute.
But
Look
that's
here,
a wonderful idea, don't you agree, Margot? Eventually, we would have a financial advisor in the family. And one who understands the ins and outs of those curious minds.
Well, I'm tremendously grateful to you, sir, for making it possible. I mean...
Well, after all, it is through me you gave up your job.
Come on, Edward. You're taking me to dinner to celebrate.
And I think we'll do the same, Margot.
No, Tony, darling. You and I are going to sit and make lists of all the lovely things we're going to buy. More coffee, Tony?
Yes, please, my dear. Oh, that'll be Jimmy. I asked him to come early this morning before the nobility arrived. I let him in. It's Jimmy and Edward, Margot.
Yes, we met on the
hello.
doorstep, you know.
I must say, it gave me quite a turn until I remembered you were on our side. Edward, let me congratulate you.
Oh, thanks. How did you know?
Well, Tony phoned me last night with all the news. Any sign of them yet, Tony?
Not yet.
Where's Clarissa, Margot?
Your celebration dinner, young man, apparently lasted until 5 a.m. in some nightclub.
Oh, well, we did make quite a night of it, actually.
Well, she's got to get some sleep or you'll be marrying an old hag.
Oh, this will be one of them now.
I'll answer it.
Jimmy, if there's any argument, you'll back me up, won't you?
Of course, not a penny.
Good morning. Well, I just thought I'd look in at... Oh.
The whole thing has been discussed quite openly, so I assure you there's nothing to be embarrassed about.
Oh, well, in that case, you're quite right, of course. The only real embarrassment was walking in here last night and finding George. Well, after all these years, it'd be a shame if he found out about myself and Sophie.
Lord Minster, I am Mr. Davenport's solicitor. Have you any proof about this £5,000?
Oh, my dear fellow, you're not going to drag this into court.
Well, if you...
Well, funnily enough, I kept a letter from her. My dear Toto, 5,000 thanks. You see, £5,000 was the sum I gave her for the enchanting gift. I shall remain forever in your debt, Sophie.
What 5,000 that you gave her?
Sir George, how did you...
A middle-aged person was admitting herself at the front door.
Oh, the Daily Woman. She's arrived. That's good.
You gave Sophie £5,000, Dickie. May I ask why?
Surely you remember. I told you about it at the time.
Had you told me about it at the time, you'd not be here to tell me about it now.
Don't be ridiculous. It was all perfectly innocent.
Ah, you were the man in the cupboard.
Man in the cupboard?
In 1916, I came back to Paris on leave unexpectedly. I called upon Sophie, was kept waiting, then shown into her bedroom, where she was lying on a chaise longue in an elaborate toilette with a noticeably heightened color.
Well?
She told me that since my departure, her life had been a desert, her mornings a wilderness, and nothing to look forward to in the evenings.
I'm sure that was true.
Well, I ask you, Miss Ross, do ladies with nothing to look forward to in the evenings put on evening dress?
If anything, they take them off.
And on the floor, pushed out of the way, but still visible, was a British staff officer's cap.
That might have been anybody's, George.
That occurred to me at the time. Sophie knew many distinguished persons. One did not wish to fling open the door of the cupboard and disclose one's commanding general.
How did you know there was anyone in the cupboard?
Somebody sneezed.
In the cupboard?
Quite definitely.
But I've been in this scores of times.
In it?
In repertory companies, it's traditional. The maid dashes in and says, your lover has returned unexpectedly, so you push your new lover into the cupboard and... Tell me, Lord Minster, was there anyone else in the cupboard?
Oh, not a soul.
There! He admits it. He admits being in the cupboard.
Well, at this stage in our lives, what's the point of denying it? It was just a joke.
A joke? I said nothing to Sophie at the time because I couldn't bear to see her humiliated. You, of all people. And how many more were there like you, I ask myself.
We all ask ourselves.
Perhaps you'll inform me when this Minster person has left the premises. I shall wait in the garden.
I'll calm him down. Sorry, I can never resist pulling his leg. I said, George, don't be such an old chap.
You're going to have a tough time shaking them off.
Well, I don't see why.
No. Well, before you know where you are, they'll be saying that you tacitly admitted their claims. And with a couple like that, you'll be in a lawsuit before you can say knife.
I think we could get rid of them both for good, if it worked.
If what worked?
With Edward. You know what a panic we were in discovering we'd given away secrets right and left in front of an income tax official. They must have lots of secrets.
But I'm not an official anymore.
Edward, they don't know that.
We'd have to lead the conversation round to the subject of taxation.
Margot, I think you've got something. We shall need lots of champagne.
I'll get it.
Davenport, do you think you can stop this person badgering me?
Wouldn't you both like a drink?
Not for me.
Oh, yes, do. It can be such a help.
Champagne?
Well, personally, there's only one thing I'd like more than a glass of champagne.
What's that?
2 glasses.
Oh, how original.
You can't afford much of it nowadays.
The taxation, I suppose.
You've hit the nail right on the head. Now, what I couldn't say about the income tax.
Really?
Of course, George is the one with the really bright ideas.
Perhaps you'd be kind enough to...
George, stop being so crusty. Everyone I know admires the way you diddle the tax collector.
What do you mean?
You know, tax evasion.
Oh, really, Dickie?
No, don't deny it. Who bought Marie Antoinette's desk and got away with charging it as office furniture? And not only a desk, but 2 armchairs and a magnificent mirror.
Well, one has to have a desk in one's office and a chair to sit on. And a glass for the wretched typist to look at herself in.
Yes, George, but one doesn't have to get in touch with the authorities at Versailles and have them over here buying everything back at an enormous capital gain to yourself.
Oh, these things become a little exaggerated.
Well, how you swung that one, I can't imagine. Sheer impudence, I suppose.
Like your brandy smuggling.
I don't know what you mean.
Got you on the raw there, eh, Dickie?
Well, now, George, there are certain things one doesn't say in public.
But it's no secret.
Some more champagne, Lord Minster.
Thank you.
Sir George?
I will, yes.
Oh, tell us about the smuggling, Lord Minster. It sounds so exciting.
Well, it's not really smuggling. I have some very good friends in Brittany in the wine trade, and I have a small yacht which occasionally goes out and gets lost and has to put in at San Malo or somewhere around there. Then it sets out again with a few bottles of brandy.
About 100 dozen.
And finds its way home.
In the dead of night.
That's all there is to it.
Apart from a handsome profit.
Oh, how romantic.
Mark you, it's just a bit of fun. One likes to feel one's still got some dash.
Oh, of course.
So one amuses oneself once in a while.
Tringham said 1 a month.
Trimmingham?
You remember, Dickie, you had a butler called Trimmingham. For the last 2 years, he's been with me. We've had some most interesting talks about you.
Discussing me with a former servant. It amounts to spying.
Like hiding in cupboards.
Now, let me tell you, Trimmingham had better... Oh, you stopped the night at the Marsh about 4 years ago on your way to France. I suppose that's when you got hold of him, bribed him.
Bribed him?
Yes, George, with tales about what he could make out of those expensive teas you serve on the days you open your stately home to the public.
What the...
Yes, and I'm told that you take at least 4 times more in gate money than is ever revealed to the tax inspector.
That could be checked. There are admission tickets.
Yeah, but only one visitor in 4 seems to get one.
Who told you that?
Freddie Bradford.
Who?
The Duke of Bradford.
Duke of Bradford? But he's been invited to stay as a guest. Why should he pay 5 shillings to be herded round with the trippers?
Because he said it's less boring that way and you get a better tea.
No. Really? Well, if a few of the facts about the Duke of Bradford were known, He wouldn't be at liberty to go about snooping around other people's houses.
Quite true. Do you know, Davenport, he lets his shoot in to wealthy Americans, gets dollars on the sly, and then asks them for 50% of the bag, which he sells on the quiet to a London hotel.
That's true.
Oh, I know it is, because he told me so himself. And that you'd put him up to it.
I put him up to it?
Oh, come off it, George. Everyone knows about your shoot. It's famous.
Where on earth do you hear these things?
Oh, just gossip.
It's high time they abolished the House of Lords.
And talking of profit, George, we won't mention the workmen's cottages on your estate. The tenants only pay 10 shillings a week on paper, but they all seem to have Rolls Royces.
Might we just pause and consider the east wing of your country house let to a Canadian family?
Well, they're my guests.
And have been your guests for the last 7 years. Rather a long visit. Unless, of course, they're paying guests. I wonder if there's an account in a bank in Montreal. Not, of course, in the name of Lord Minster.
I've never been to Canada.
But you go to New York where Canadian dollars are so useful.
George, I think you've said enough.
He has.
Edward! Oh, I'd forgotten all about you. We shouldn't. You oughtn't to have... Oh, dear.
Well, what's the matter?
Edward, he's heard everything Sir George and Lord Minster have been saying.
Edward, you will treat everything you've heard as confidential, won't you?
Oh, why the devil shouldn't he?
Now, don't panic, Sir George. It'll be all right.
What do you mean, don't panic? I'm not panicking.
Going on.
Edward, if only you'd say something.
It has been a most interesting morning. Goodbye, everyone.
He's gone.
Now, keep calm, Sir George.
I am calm.
We must keep our heads.
Now, will you explain yourselves? What is this, Edward? A policeman?
Much worse. Commissioners of Inland Revenue.
What? This is all your fault, Dickie.
Well, it was you who brought the subject up.
My office furniture. The workmen's cottages.
Well, my Canadians, and announcing that I import hundreds of dozens of cases of brandy. Oh, we've got to think quickly, or we'll have the tax people down on us. Of course, I know your financial skies are rosy.
Not so rosy now you filled them with vouchers.
If a lot of officials started prying into my affairs, I think I'd shoot myself. What would you do, George?
I'd shoot the officials.
I think I can get you out of this trouble if in return you'll do something for me.
Oh, anything.
My dear fellow.
Now, that young man's going to marry Mr. Davenport's niece. And if he feels morally obligated not to remember the unfortunate things you both quite accidentally revealed, Mr. Davenport might feel morally obliged to support his future nephew. So, don't you agree you'd be wiser to forget your claim?
I'm prepared to waive any claim if you can assure me that our indiscretions are forgotten.
And you, Lord Minster?
Oh, yes, of course.
Then may I have the letters? Thank you. I can assure you that everything will be all right.
Well, I hope you won't mind if I run along.
Oh, not at all, Lord Minster.
I must be going too. Can you give me a lift, Dickie?
Well, of course, George. Goodbye.
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 I'll see you to the door.
Well, we got out of that.
I'm off too, Tony.
Oh, Master Jimmy, well, thanks for your help.
I'd bill you, but I don't know how to charge for nervous wear and tear.
Cheerio.
Oh, look who's arrived, Mr. Wilson.
I'm so sorry having to come back like this. It's just that you made a little mistake.
Ah, with the date, I know.
It wasn't really a business call. I read about your good fortune in the papers. Congratulations. I suppose you're going to get married now.
Yes.
Well, I don't know. Mr. Wilson, isn't it true with a joint income and all this extra money, it's almost impossible?
You mean yesterday you were too poor to get married, and today you're too rich?
Yes.
Now, listen, if you
Darling,
think...
don't get overexcited.
You never wanted to marry me. Why weren't you honest? Why didn't you explain what you really wanted was an unpaid cook housekeeper?
I'm only thinking what's best for both of us.
I wouldn't marry you.
No, you don't mean that. You may seem worse off when you work it out on paper, but there's a lot more to money than mathematics. You go ahead and get married. I can tell you lots of little ways and means of getting along. Don't invest the money. Use it as capital. Buy a country place. Claim on this house as an office. Buy a farm. Make yourself into a company or a series of companies. There's 101 lovely little dodgers I could put you up to.
Mr. Wilson, you're the man I've been looking for.
20 years with income tax, you get to know a thing or two.
Oh, Tony, you wanted a financial genius.
Yes.
You found him.
Mr. Wilson, I only wish there was something we could do for you in return.
Well, there's really nothing I want. The only thing I really want is a flat, and no one can find that.
A flat? Tony, the attic flat.
2 rooms, kitchen and bath?
You don't mean it.
We do mean it.
I couldn't afford much.
That doesn't matter.
But what I could afford,
Yes?
you'd get free of income tax.
It's a deal.
We'll drink to it.
Oh. Hello? Oh, no. It's not possible.
What is it?
The Inland Revenue. The Inland Revenue want to speak to me about death duties.
I'll deal with them.
What?
I know that department. I'll fix them.
Hello. My financial advisor will ring you in the morning. Margot, to our new financial advisor.
We drink to you.
We drink to everyone. Edward and Clarissa.
Sir George and Lord Minster.
Aunt Sophie.
And, of course,
The
Commissioners of Inland Revenue.
So ends our Caltex play, Both Ends Meet. In a moment, we will give you tonight's cast. Both Ends Meet was written by Arthur McCrae and adapted for radio by Martin Curry. In the starring roles, you heard Mary Disney as Margot Ross and Robert Peach as Tony Davenport. The supporting cast was as follows: Clarissa, Bernadette Russell, Edward Kirby, Noel Ferrier, Mr. Wilson, John Morgan, Jimmy Scott Cartwright, John Edmund, Sir George Traherne, Williams Lloyd, Lord Minster, Douglas Kelly. Now this is your compere Rick Hutton inviting you to be listening next week for another outstanding production in the Caltex Theatre, and saying good night on behalf of your hosts, Caltex Oil, marketers of Caltex Super Gasoline and Caltex Gasoline, the world-famous RPM 1030 Special Motor Oil, and Marfac Lubrication.
Welcome to the Caltex Theatre, a full hour of dramatic entertainment broadcast over a nationwide network of stations throughout Australia. The Caltex Theatre is brought to you by Caltex Oil, marketers of over 1,000 outstanding petroleum products, in association with Caltex dealers and distributors everywhere. Tonight in the Caltex Theatre you will hear England Expects, a story of Horatio Viscount Nelson and of his great love for Emma, Lady Hamilton, in the days when Britain was indeed a tight little isle, and all that stood between her and the mighty forces of aggression was the Royal Navy, and one of the greatest seamen of all time. Starring tonight as Horatio Nelson, you will hear Don Pascoe. Your producer, Cressig Jenkinson. The Caltex Theatre presents England Expects, Act 1. Nelson.
My darling. My darling Horatio. Horatio?
Dr. Beatty, is there nothing you can do?
He's been wandering for some minutes now.
Who's there?
Dr. Beatty.
The doctor. You can do nothing for me. Go to the poor fellows who can be helped.
Why, my dear lord, you will yet live to bring home the news of your own glorious victory.
It's nonsense, Dr. Scott, to suppose I can live. Beatty knows very well. What time is it?
4:15, my lord.
Nearly 3 hours since I was shot.
Yes, my lord. What can I do for your comfort?
I have very little time. Dr. Scott, you must see my wishes executed.
Most exactly, my lord.
You must go and see my dear Lady Hamilton.
Lady Hamilton?
At Merton. You must tell her my last thoughts are for her. For her and my darling child.
Did your lordship say your child?
Yes. My daughter Horatio. They must not come to want. They must...
Dr. Beatty, did you know anything of his lordship's having a daughter?
An adopted daughter I knew of. It's her picture that hangs in his cabin. A lovely child, 4 or 5 years old. I've heard him say Lady Hamilton had the care of his little goddaughter. Very fond of her, he is.
My own child. What is it? What's that?
Another enemy ship was struck.
Pasco, is it you?
Yes, my lord.
Pasco, not hurt much, I hope.
A slight leg wound, my lord.
Pasco, that was an inspiring signal. It heartened the men. England confined in... No, you altered it. England expects. Well, she has not been disappointed. We have all, every man of us, done our duty. Listen, they're cheering again. It has really happened, just as I dreamt it as a boy. The long succession of victories. St. Vincent, Nile, Copenhagen, and now Trafalgar. The long succession of victories. St. Vincent, Nile. Oh, there was a great victory, the Nile. And after...
He's wandering again now, I'm afraid.
With my dear Lady Hamilton. In London. Momentous days. Oh, momentous days.
Momentous days. Yes. It is 3 days since Horatio returned. Ah, to live to see this, Fanny. To see my son's return, the last and greatest of my son's returns. 3 years gone from us, blind, amputated of one arm, yet victorious. His country's saviour in the greatest naval action of modern times, and acclaimed the most heroic figure of our age. The Battle of the Nile. Ah, no father ever had reason to be prouder of his son.
Papa, may I ask you again, just for a moment, to try and see him through the eyes of his wife?
With your eyes, Fanny, but can they be any different from mine?
The eyes of Lord Nelson's wife may perhaps not see him in quite so advantageous a light as his father or his countrymen.
You astound me. Has Horatio done anything to distress you, Fanny?
Papa, we have been at this hotel for 3 days in company with Horatio and Sir William and Lady Hamilton. Have you observed nothing to distress you, Papa?
His time is no longer entirely his, Fanny. However much our impatience may be to get him to ourselves, his official obligations make demands upon his time.
It is not of Horatio's official obligations I was complaining. but as if his domestic attendance on the Hamiltons.
Sir William Hamilton and his lady are Horatio's devoted friends. For 3 years they have acted as loyal hosts, as his nurses too, in sickness and peril, throughout his Mediterranean campaign. So, what are 3 days? We should be grateful.
The probabilities, Papa, as I foresee them, are that Horatio will devote the rest of his days to the Hamiltons, unless we prevent him.
I do not understand you, Fanny.
Will you understand me, Papa, if I say this? That our immediate removal from this hotel is necessary, not only to our good name, but to our very peace of mind. I look to you to support me in urging Horatio to remove without delay to the house Mr. Davidson's rented for us in Dover Street.
What are you asking me, Fanny? Horatio has expressly told me he feels it an obligation to wait on Sir William and Lady Hamilton until their own house be ready to receive them.
Which it never will if Lady Hamilton has her way.
You would do well, Fanny, to remember who she is.
Who Lady Hamilton was before Sir William made her his wife. Nobody knows that.
She is our ambassador's lady, the confidant of the Queen of Naples, the benefactress of the fleet.
An adventuress can be as much.
I warn you, Fanny, by all that you hold most sacred, to proceed no further. There is nothing you can tell me that either a lady should repeat or a gentleman hear.
Horatio is the lover of Lady Hamilton.
No one, my own daughter-in-law, or my own flesh and blood, can say words such as those in my presence.
But, Papa...
Not another word!
I do not speak without foundation, Papa. Lady Hamilton has been my husband's mistress in Naples and Palermo for the past year. Every Mediterranean station has been ahum with it.
And who are the persons responsible for so vile an accusation?
It was chiefly Sir Thomas Troubridge, an officer and a gentleman, Horatio's friend for over 20 years.
Oh, can there be such traitors in the world?
He is no traitor, Papa. He is Horatio's true and loyal friend. He did right to warn me. Otherwise, the shock must have been too great. There is no eluding the facts. This has been the talk of the continent for the last 6 months. Do you suppose it is not being whispered in London clubrooms tonight? It has reached the ears of the Admiralty, that's certain.
Can you, my son's wife, accept this infamy for the truth? I would as soon believe Horatio a traitor to his country as to his marriage vows. He has loved honour since he was a young boy.
Horatio is not the first man of honour to fall into a harpy's clutches. The tale's as old as the world. Doesn't Homer tell you about the enchantress Circe, who cast shameful spells over the mariners shipwrecked on her shores? This woman, this Emma Hamilton's a kind of Circe.
You could not speak so, Fanny, if your mind were not distempered.
I am not sick, Papa. I tell you the facts speak for themselves. If I had entertained a doubt before this evening, a lingering hope that was not so shameful as I feared, our visit to the theatre earlier this night must have removed it.
The theatre? Why, what happened?
Lady Hamilton suffered a fainting fit. She was carried to the green room, where I attended her.
Well?
I was soon left in little doubt that she is shortly to become a mother.
On pain of my lasting displeasure, Fanny, I forbid you to proceed. And suppose it were so. Will you tell me what is there so extraordinary in Lady Hamilton's becoming a mother?
Nothing extraordinary, Papa, but most shameful. For I believe that that Sir William is not the father of that child.
Oh, may God forgive you, Fanny.
I intend taking action in this matter, Papa.
Action?
Yes. Horatio must answer for his conduct. If he agrees to part from Lady Hamilton without scandal, to remove to Dover Street at once, and to sever all criminal connection with her forever, then I'm prepared to overlook the past and pardon him.
Beware how you enter into judgment, lest you be judged. Do you imagine this high-handed action likely to placate your husband? And if he utterly repudiates such a proposal, what then?
He leaves me no alternative but to denounce Lady Hamilton to the whole of society.
These are very late hours for you, Father.
Yes, I am extremely fatigued.
Well, you're not well. You must go to bed.
No, it is nothing. A momentary weakness.
Fanny, how comes it our father is not in his bed at this hour? Go, Father. You need rest.
So good, so devoted a son.
Sir Thomas Troubridge called earlier to take his leave.
Gone? Without seeing me?
He could not wait. Horatio, now that we are at last alone, I would like your attention.
Where does he start from, the Admiralty?
He mentioned Torbay at dawn. It is of the utmost importance, Horatio. I should speak to you.
I must see Troubridge.
Lo and behold, if the truant isn't returned, and smelling of fog and smoke and soot like a sweep's boy. I've kept a scrap of supper for you, my dear little sweep.
Your ladyship is very kind, but I have to catch Troubridge before he leaves town.
What? Is there no rest at all in those bones of yours? You're not going to pretext a matter of the service at this hour of the night, Lord Nelson? Neither Lady Nelson nor I will believe it, will we, ma'am?
Your ladyship is very merry, and I'm glad to note fully recovered from your earlier indisposition. But I must leave it to your good heart to decide whether I go or stay. The widow of one of my lieutenants, whose circumstances are more than distressful, has been granted a pension which has taken 15 months of my efforts to obtain. She lives at Brixham, and I want Troubridge to break the happy news to her on his way.
Noble, noble Nelson. All hearts are stone compared to yours.
But then forgive me. I must hurry.
Horatio!
What you have to tell me, Fanny, must wait for the morning.
The morning, then.
There now. Mother's confined with a chill. The fog, my dearest Emmy, must alone be blamed, so do not fret your kind heart for me. Didn't I say so? That Mother must be ill? Do you hear, Lord Nelson? Mother's laid up ill.
I'm sorry for it.
Why, my own heart's angel, what's the matter with you? Oh, what's this, Lord Nelson? You look quite fagged out. What time did you get back to the hotel, I should like to know?
I didn't come home till this morning.
Gracious Lord Nelson, where did you go all night?
Nowhere. I walked the streets.
Whatever made you do so mad a thing? Why, you look more dead than alive, and you've ate nothing since you sat down to breakfast.
I'm not hungry, Emma.
It's lucky I'm none too hungry myself this morning. This hotel's private dining room offers nothing much to stay the stomach. Soused mackerels. Ooh, makes you feel queasy to smell it. What's this? Kidneys? Oh, put the dish over the further side, will you, my love? Old England forever, but it takes a day or two to get used to the cooking. Come now, smile on your Emma. What? Not smile? Blacker and blacker frowns. Hang 'em. Keep frowns for the French. Emma will kiss away the ugly frowns. There. There. My glorious hero's brows must be kept fair with kisses, all ready for the laurels. Oh, Nelson, how you love me.
Never so poignantly as today when I feel our love threatened. Oh, it will kill me, Emma, having to part from you.
Who talks of parting?
Sooner or later, this love of ours must end. I offered my services to the Admiralty the day I returned to England.
But there's no question of their calling on you before the spring. Oh, don't frighten me, Lord Nelson.
Have you thought how we're to live till the spring? We're in England, Emma. We have each our separate rooms in this hotel, and we all share this drawing room to eat, receive, and make conversation in. Nothing can be again as it was between us.
That was to be foreseen.
But who could have foreseen this homecoming, the misery of it all?
Anyone with half an eye. I did months ago. And when I wept and wept, and you teased me to know the cause, I said, because we're leaving Italy. But if I hadn't feared to grieve you, I'd have answered truthfully, because we have to go to England and face our enemies.
I never had an enemy, but the French. Oh, you have to be a man, Emma, and have spent your life fighting to know how reluctant the heart can be to carry the war into one's own home. I'm not a week returned, and my wife and I are at open enmity.
She hated me at first sight.
Oh, I could never bear it till the spring. I'd rather go from you at once, or act honourably and confess all. I have never knowingly acted dishonourably in my life.
If Lady Nelson is put in possession of the facts, she'll tear my reputation to tatters.
She must tear me first. Let the blame light on me as I deserve. Lady Nelson must know why I love you. Why I shall always love you. It isn't for your merry heart, though by a mischievous smiling you would seem to say so. It isn't for your beauty, though that's bewildering. Nor your kindness, though that's inexhaustible. Nor your loyalty and courage, whose like I've never before seen in women. It's for much more than all these. For your noble spirit, your inward beauty, Emma. I adore you.
You used to say one day we would sail away for Bronte and live for our two selves alone.
When the last enemy's beat. I've never turned my back on an enemy yet. Oh, Emma, I cannot live in this furtive atmosphere. I must speak to my wife.
Give her an inch of rope and she'll not rest until she's got me well and truly hanged. Did you hear those catcalls as we drove to Guildhall Monday? Could you see the finger of scorn pointed everywhere at your Emma?
I'll give this other arm in your defense.
In sober truth, Lord Nelson, I may need a defender sooner than you think. And not for myself alone. You could not talk of leaving me, or worse still, of leaving me to the mercy of Lady Nelson, if you knew everything. It's time, I see, I told you a secret. A great secret nobody in the world suspects, least of all you. It's time you... Why, there's my own Sir William now.
Good morning, Emma. Good morning, my dear friend. Does the levee stand for today? Has the King come from Windsor?
His Majesty is expected to hold his customary levee of the month at St. James's Palace at 10 this forenoon. There it is, Sir William. We must go, I suppose.
Gracious heavens, Lord Nelson, and you tell me that now? Oh, only look at the time, and Sir William not yet dressed. Oh, my gracious me. What would not I give to be there? Lady Nelson goes, of course.
I shouldn't be going myself if these newspapers didn't give such notoriety to all my actions. But if I go to the Guildhall and the theatre, our governors will presumably judge I can attend the levee.
Shouldn't Lady Nelson be advised of the hour?
Thank you, Lady Hamilton. I am advised of it.
But your ladyship's never going in that gown.
Your ladyship may rest assured. I am not.
Oh, well, to be sure, all I meant was your ladyship advised what little time you had to get ready?
Since I have no intention of attending the levee...
Fanny.
Not going, Lady Nelson? Not accompanying your husband to the palace on the most auspicious occasion of his career? Oh, my dear madam, you're not unwell, I trust.
Thank you, Sir William. I never go out in cold weather.
Cold weather? Why, the sun's bursting through.
I entirely approve of Lady Nelson's decision. There's nothing so tedious as the compliments of courtiers. And the day is, indeed, very cold.
Was that 9:30, Lord Nelson?
It wants yet 2 minutes to the half hour.
We shall present an ill-assorted couple, my dear sir. The conquering hero and the evicted ambassador. Between us, we represent the top and the bottom of fortune's wheel. Never mind. The gossip shall have a good day. Come along then, Emma. I shall need your help.
Till later then, Lord Nelson. Your ladyship.
Horatio, it is imperative you listen to me now.
I'm late and I'm expected.
I request that you make the necessary arrangements for our removal to the house in Dover Street.
For the short time that I have on shore, this hotel will suffice. When I'm gone, it's as you please, Fanny.
I must insist on our occupying a home of our own at once.
Have a care, Fanny. I don't much like ultimatums. I never yet yielded to one in my life. Until my friends, the Hamiltons, are accommodated with a house, we shall remain with them here.
So that you can pursue your intrigue with Lady Hamilton. Do you think I don't see what's going on? Do you think I have not been informed of what's been going on for the past year? Your conduct's been the scandal of the fleet. I do not intend it shall become the talk of the town.
If your only concern, Fanny, is for the talk of the town, you would do well to set guard upon your own tongue. What you say affects not only you and me, but the honor of my friends the Hamiltons as well.
I demand you give up this woman.
You are my wife. I do not contest your position. But respecting my choice of friends, your prerogatives cease.
You will have to choose then between Lady Hamilton and me. I will never debase myself to share you.
There is no power, none that you can wield, that can remove me from my fixed affections. The friendship of Lady Hamilton is dearer to me than life. I worship her. Do you hear?
You must be bewitched indeed to say so.
My Lord Nelson, Sir William is soon ready to leave.
Then I must prepare.
Good morning, my lord, Lady Nelson. Good morning, ma'am.
Mr. Greville, your servant, sir.
Well, I seem to have arrived just as the signal for battle was given. Lord Nelson obviously mistook me for a Frenchman. Why, Emma, my dear, you look quite ghastly pale. Is it for fear of my being sunk, or of my sinking Lord Nelson?
Oh, nothing at all, I assure you.
Lady Nelson, would you kindly bring a glass of water? My poor aunt seems to have a fainting spell upon her.
I'll go at once, Mr. Greville.
Greville, what are you doing here?
I came to remind you, my dear aunt, of what is due to my uncle. I've had to remind you before, and now I warn you. If you persist in this association with Lord Nelson, I shall be obliged to inform him of the social debuts of Miss Emma Hart.
What a beast you are, Greville.
You've had more than one occasion, my dear, for saying so. Now take my advice and don't put me to the test again.
What exactly do you want now?
Only for you to stop making a fool of my uncle and yourself over Lord Nelson.
You'd better not try to come between Lord Nelson and me, Greville, or you may find yourself out of your uncle's will.
Why, Emma, that's precisely why you will do as I ask. To make certain I am not to be out of Sir William Hamilton's will. Without my uncle's child, Emma, that would be assured, and is. But with your child, Nelson's child, It is as you please, then, Emma.
The water, Mr. Greville, and these salts.
You can drink it yourself.
Had I not seen her as I reached the door and heard
It's
her...
Emma's temperament, ma'am, that has always attached her lovers. We can none of us complain that life was monotonous with her.
Mr. Greville, before Sir William married Lady Hamilton, was she... had she...
Yes, ma'am. If your ladyship is interested in the ascension of Lady Hamilton, it's quite a good story, as stories go. You see, she's an intelligent... I might say uniquely intelligent creature, ma'am, to have made her way from a Cheshire smithy to the arms of an ambassador. Oh, yes, it's quite a story. If your ladyship is of strong stomach, I can supply details that provide a great deal of colour.
And so the curtain falls on Act 1 of tonight's Caltex play, England Expects.
Next time you fill your tank with gasoline, fill up with new power, new performance, new economy. Fill up with Caltex butane boosted gasoline. That's the gasoline made to take better care of your car's performance. Designed for today's faster pace. Caltex butane boosted gasoline at the sign of the Caltex star, where we take better care of your car.
The Caltex Theatre now presents Don Pascoe in England Expects, Act 2.
Momentous days. There could be no other end but this. Dr. Scott. Oh, damn.
Yeah, my lord. My lord, you not hear? The firing has ceased.
It's over. The firing has ceased. So, this is the end.
Here is Captain Hardy, my lord, come to bring you the news.
Hardy?
I come to congratulate your lordship on a brilliant victory which is complete.
A complete victory. Yes. To be complete, it had to be like this. Who is that weeping? Could she see me now? Could Lady Hamilton see me now? She would pity me. She would think this a dark hole. You must tell her, Doctor.
Dr. Beatty, attend him now.
There is little I can do.
I leave Lady Hamilton a legacy. My daughter, too. And you must see to my king and country. My king.
The king's mad. They're right to say he's mad. What right has he to be displeased with me?
Horatio, it's treason to speak that way.
Yes, I know men are hanged for saying less, but to treat me so, the most loyal officer he has.
But what has happened, Horatio?
I made my bow. He said, "Are you recovered of your wounds, Lord Nelson?" And without waiting for an answer, turned his back on me.
Perhaps not on you.
Turned his back on me in order to talk to a colonel of the Foot Guards. He couldn't be asking after his wounds, that's certain.
Perhaps the king spoke only a word to everyone.
20 minutes! 20 minutes he talked to a colonel of the Foot Guards while I stood by. These are the people for whom we shed our blood. Not a word of thanks. Not a flicker of gratitude. You can lose your limbs in their service and you'll get nothing. A grateful sovereign will turn his back on you and talk to a colonel of the Foot Guards, while Nelson can stand by like a whipped boy.
I wish you would speak less loud.
And I'm glad enough to have us in the hour of battle, while they sit snug at home.
I must ask you once again to moderate your voice. The servants will be listening at the door.
Well, let them listen. It's comforting to the poor to learn they are not alone downtrodden. Did England know how I had been treated, there would be a riot.
Is it not bitter enough to your wife and your family that the whole court witnessed your disgrace? Must you seek to publish it?
You talk, Fanny, as though there were a reason for such a thing.
You know only too well there is.
Oh, I do believe all the world has gone mad today, and my wife with the rest.
This is no longer a domestic issue between us, Horatio. Your behavior has now become a public disaster, deplored by the king himself. That the saviour of England should demean himself for a Lady Hamilton.
Demean? None of you know what this incomparable woman is.
I know only too well since this morning what Lady Hamilton is.
What England owes her, not one of you shivering stay-at-home knows, nor cares to know. Because she's beautiful and good and gifted beyond the common measure, she must be disparaged, must she? She must be dragged down because she's too far above you. Oh, yes, Fanny, I said above you. Only a woman of the most superior talents, speaking several languages, aware of all the complexities attendant on life in a foreign court, could have served England in these last 7 years as Lady Hamilton has done. She has worked ceaselessly, intelligently for her country's good in a war where treachery was the only asset we acquired with her allies. I tell you flatly, as I'll tell the Lords when I take my seat, as I'll tell any honest body of Englishmen met together, that if justice is to be done, and Lady Hamilton's service is adequately recognised, it can be by nothing less than a public vote of thanks, a government pension, and a post about the court.
She will never even be presented at court.
More shame to the sycophants who surround Majesty. Lady Hamilton is an ornament to any court.
You could not speak as you do if the facts were known to you.
What facts?
As you know, Mr. Greville visited me this morning.
Greville?
He has made me certain confidences.
A noted wastrel and gossip-monger. I'll not have him come near you.
He may be what you say. It places him all the better for knowing the facts of Lady Hamilton's past.
I'll have him out!
You'll have to have out all her lovers then. Hear me, Horatio. She had already had 2 lovers before she came to him, whose names he can vouch for. Others he can only guess at.
Shooting's too good for him. I'll flog him through the town.
She was a servant girl, born in degrading poverty of a Lancashire blacksmith. And one can only guess what sort of a woman the mother could be.
As good a woman as breathes.
She sold her daughter into bondage at 14 to the first bidder.
Sir William should be told of this. What a snake. What an adder is this nephew who fawns on him, fawns on Emma to her face, to get his inheritance. You too shall answer for this, Fanny.
Not I. It's she who's answerable.
Put the flowers in a vase, Boots.
Here she comes. Ask her. I wouldn't breathe the same polluted air.
Ah, my Lord Nelson. You're back very soon from the levee, Lord Nelson. Didn't the heir of the court agree with your lordship? No matter. St. James is outmoded to a degree, they say. To think I cried my eyes out to be admitted. It's Carlton House that counts. I'm almost there, I assure you.
Your ladyship mentioned Carlton House?
To be sure. And you've not half heard the tale of my triumphs yet. I was bowling along Duke Street when my carriage was stopped by the prince's equerry.
Which prince?
Which prince? Gracious me, Lord Nelson. There's only one prince that matters, isn't there?
That's according. To each one his taste. For my part, the only member of the whole family who merits interest is the Duke of Clarence.
Hoity-toity. I'll lay 100 to 1 you've been overlooked today. I see it in your lordship's eye.
Madam, what's this tale of Carlton House?
Well, who should stop me but a Colonel McMahon? He leapt into the seat beside me with one bound, and what do you think the saucy wretch went on to say? That the prince expressed himself as devilishly taken with Lady Hamilton, and would welcome an opportunity of making her acquaintance. He doesn't rest till he's dispatched me his equerry to intimate his willingness to accept an invitation to dine at Sir William Hamilton's for the honour of sitting next to Sir William Hamilton's wife.
Your ladyship does not contemplate...
Oh, but that's not all. He wishes to hear Lady Hamilton sing. He's heard great things of Lady Hamilton's voice, says he. I doubt whether he's heard the flattering things the great Haydn said of it. In fact, I doubt whether he's a connoisseur at all. But he'll do.
This is outrageous. No modest woman frequents the Prince of Wales.
Here's a to-do. The Prince of Wales invites himself to dine with His Majesty's ex-minister in Naples, returned from the very theatre of operations, an eyewitness of the worst excesses of those horrid French, and you call that outrageous? How is the Prince to keep himself informed if he doesn't consult the people who are informed?
If you hadn't been out of the country 14 years, you wouldn't talk as you do.
La! Don't you suppose I've kept myself informed? Trust Emma for knowing who's who and what's what at home. The Prince of Wales is the coming man, and anyone who's not in his camp, even victorious admirals, my dear lord, will find themselves nowhere when the regency is declared.
Emma, is this you speaking?
You've never taken me for a fool, have you? Why, I've always known which side my bread was buttered. It's something I had to learn quite early in life, my dear, guileless friend. Anyhow, I think the prince a personable man. A fine, tall, portly man. He must come 3 or 4 inches taller than I. We'd look well enough together.
As well matched as your ladyship and Mr. Greville, no doubt.
Greville?
Ah, the name's Wormwood, is it?
What should he be to me?
That's what I'm asking your ladyship. What is he to you?
My husband's sort of a nephew.
Come. He's no sot and you know it. What is he to you?
Your lordship's forgetting himself, I think. Because the king's been pleased to put a public slight on you, your lordship's out of humour with all the world and his wife today. That's your concern, not mine. You'd do well to walk a while to cool your temper, my lord. I have nothing to say to you till you've remembered your manners.
Emma...
I have nothing further to say to your lordship.
Emma, deny this thing. Deny this monstrous charge which I hear.
What exactly did you hear?
That there's anything, ever anything, between this man and you.
You offend me deeply. But you must know, Mr. Greville's unsavoury reputation, let alone his ingratitude to Sir William, are enough for me. I hold no communication with the man.
Heaven be praised.
Oh, Lady Hamilton, Mr. Greville left this note for your ladyship. He said it was of the deepest consequence.
What's this comedy, Fanny?
Lady Hamilton looks too overcome for you to call it a comedy, Horatio. I have but delivered a letter that was given me.
My wife makes herself the errand boy of a Greville?
Mr. Greville finds it very difficult to communicate with Lady Hamilton. Every time he approaches her ladyship, she faints.
Your ladyship's unwell.
No. But I must speak to you.
Leave us, Fanny.
No. I ask you to make an end. This situation is degrading.
Degrading? The man doesn't live who'd use that word to me, Fanny. Degraded am I in my own wife's eyes.
I must speak speak to Lord Nelson alone.
And I ask you, Horatio, do not see her alone. Let her speak before me.
I cannot speak before Lady Nelson.
Give way in this, Horatio, and you'll give way in all.
Your distrust offends me. Let this be final, Fanny.
Very well. But it may be that what Lady Hamilton regards as an inviolable secret is known to others besides herself. You have 5 minutes.
She knows I fear. So on these 5 minutes depends more than your life.
My life is worth precisely nothing.
Your happiness.
Oh, can you talk of happiness to a man in torment? I must know the truth.
You never doubted me before today, Nelson.
You never gave me cause. I must know the truth about this Prince of Wales and Greville.
Oh, Horatio, you never before mistook a teasing mood for sober earnest.
But why tease me today of all days when every man's hand is leagued against me?
Because I am tortured myself and am not one to squeal under pain. I had a hard knock this morning when I visited Mother, the purpose of my outing. Miss Knight has left her because of us. It's been made plain to her. She will be received nowhere if she continues to associate with us.
I'll show the world of what I rate its worth. A footcloth to throw beneath your feet.
There spoke my Victor of the Nile.
Oh, Emma. Emma, are you truly mine?
You would never have asked that question before today. Your wife has poisoned you.
I can never live without you again.
We have only one dream of the future, haven't we? When we were free to turn our backs on the world and go to Bronte. We have spoken of the home life we would have, of the family we'd found.
Oh, Emma.
Come close to me, Nelson. Bend your head close to my lips.
Oh, I wish I might have died before ever I doubted you.
You will remember today as the happiest of your life. Nelson, my love,
Lady Hamilton!
Haven't you never been taught to knock at doors?
Knock? When the Prince of Wales carriage at the door, and a smart military gent straight from court gives me these here flowers to deliver into Lady Hamilton's own fair.
Get out this instant!
Whipped from the Prince of Wales, it's it.
Flowers. With a note. Colonel M.P.H. McMahon. His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales, vastly gratified at Lady Hamilton's obliging reception of his tenders, has ordered me to address this tribute of flowers to her ladyship in earnest of his gracious favour and admiration. Deceive me with the Prince of Wales, would
You're
you?
mad. I loathe the Prince of Wales.
And Greville, too. You loathe Greville, too, no doubt.
With all my heart. Only listen, Nelson.
I have listened only too long. Your enchantments almost have me subdued. Could I forget there was a Greville?
I beg you, Horatio.
Not another word!
You regret this everlasting...
No more witchcraft! The spell's broken, madam. Penny!
It's for your sake as well as mine.
Penny!
You called, Horatio? What is the matter?
Pack your traps! We're moving to Dover Street this afternoon.
Ah, good morning, my son.
Good morning, Father.
Horatio, you have a visitor here who has waited the whole morning.
Yeah? Where? You, madam.
My Lord Nelson, I must speak with you.
You know this lady, Horatio?
Yes. She's Lady Hamilton's mother.
Oh, what an oversight. Madam, had you explained...
You'd better leave us, Father.
Oh, pray forgive me. I had no knowledge.
My lord, had I explained, I'd not have been admitted.
If you think it's a trick to entangle me, madam, it won't work. That is the way out.
Oh, I merit it. But we'd do anything for our children, my lord.
I know of nothing I wish to hear from you, madam.
Emma's in a desperate plight, my lord.
She'll get over it.
What's she to do with the child?
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Your child. Emma is to have your child.
I forbid you to jest on so sacred a matter.
Oh, I do not jest, my lord. If this were my last word, I speak the truth.
Why was I not told before?
For fear, my lord. Fear of Sir William. Fear of your lordship denying any knowledge. fear of your lordship's lady.
She should have told me. It was not her secret to keep.
No, but hers the risk, my lord.
Risk?
A first child at her age, my lord.
Mrs. Cadogan, swear to me on your soul that Emma has never had a child before.
Should I be so anxious for her safety now?
Oh, my dearest Emma. Now, Mrs. Cadogan, we must keep very calm.
Yes, my
lord. We must
lord.
consider everything most carefully. We must secure the finest physicians in town, the most skillful nurses.
Everything shall be ordered for the best, my dear lord. But Emma's chiefest need is secrecy.
I shall stand by her in full honour. That I shall do and must do.
She tried to tell you the other day. So come, my dear Lord Nelson. What are you waiting for to make her happy?
Oh, Mrs. Cadogan, I want her to be a girl. Another Emma. She has made me the happiest man on earth. Madam, I beg you inform my servants that if I'm wanted, to send for me to Sir William Hamilton's. And forgive my leaving you.
I have given orders not to admit you, Greville.
This happens to be my house, Emma. The servants still take their orders from me. I must remind you, Emma, of what I had occasion to tell you Wednesday last, was it? When you and my uncle left Nerot's Hotel. I don't intend my uncle shall be made a public exhibition of, nor have revealed my part in promoting his marriage to you, which would discredit me in his eyes and so endanger my heritage.
I hate you, Greville.
Remember, you shall not attempt to correspond or meet with Lord Nelson. You should know me well enough not to underestimate my threats.
Sir Willem!
What are you doing?
Yes, my dear. You called me. Ah, Charles. Very smoky chimneys you have in this house.
I regret it, sir. Send for the sweep.
So I intend. Oh, Charles, you don't mind my hanging some of my stuff on your walls, do you?
No. But that canvas there, that Circe there, belonged to me before it belonged to you, and I would...
Quite so.
It cannot, therefore, be out of place anywhere in my house.
I'm thinking of selling 'em. Stuck 'em there for callers to covet.
Selling them, Uncle?
Lord Nelson will buy these, I shouldn't wonder.
Lord Nelson?
Why not? He's my best friend, isn't he? He likes them. He's got the money. He'd be glad to help me. Have you any objections to make, sir?
No, none, sir. None at all.
My recall from Naples has cost me a devilish sum, I can tell you. But I shall pull through, even if I have to sell my last acre of land. Charles, you look quite pale. Don't fret too much. I won't disgrace you by dying in a debtor's prison. I'll sell all I've got, rather. Well, yes, Emma, you wanted me.
Sir Willem, I ask you, as you love me, to protect me from this man's insults. He has not ceased to affront me in public.
Have a care, Emma.
And to threaten me in private.
You always were a lying jade, Emma.
Charles, keep a civil tongue in your head when you're speaking to Lady Hamilton.
She'll drag the name of Hamilton into the gutter.
Silence her, and listen to what I tell you. I have no complaints to make against Emma. What she was, you and I will ignore. What she is, a lady of some consequence in the eyes of the crowned heads of Europe, I'll have you remember. For myself, she has fulfilled her obligations towards me. That's all I ask. But you, sir, you will do as I say, or sever your connection with me at once.
But, Uncle, you entirely mistake my...
I understand everything, sir. My honor, I can look after myself, thank you. My happiness would be enhanced if you would not meddle in my affairs. I am supremely indifferent to the opinion of the world. I will make do with our true friends. But you, sir, will immediately leave for Pembrokeshire and supervise work on my estate. Now that's final.
I do not wish to offend you, Uncle.
Leave us, Greville, at once.
Of course, I shall do as you bid, Uncle.
My dear Willem, we shall always remain the closest of friends.
That's what I hoped you would say, Emma. You see, I'm not such an old fool as I look. No. Don't attempt to explain, my dear. I understand everything perfectly. A greater man than I will bring you a greater love. You're free of any bond to me, except that of friendship.
And I could not believe my ears when I met Mr. Greville and he told me that you were here, Horatio. Not only here, but alone with that woman.
Lady Hamilton is the mistress of this house. Anybody entering it must either show her the common forms of courtesy or leave it.
How can you speak so after what you know of her?
What I know binds me to Lady Hamilton forever.
I see. I have come too late. Have you thought that what I know today of her secrets, Sir William may know tomorrow?
Threats? We have lived very little together, you and I. Do what you will. You wish to denounce us to Sir William? Well, why wait till tomorrow? I can ring for him now.
Wait. My husband, Sir William, already knows all the truth. Shame on you, Lady Nelson. Call yourself a wife. You have shown how little you love either the name of Nelson or of England. You'll sacrifice nothing for either. Well, I will. I ask Nelson to go away, to remember who he is. Neither yours nor mine, but England's, to whom I give him voluntarily. But never to you, you close-lipped, cold-livered, mean-spirited little snob.
Emma!
I shall leave you, Horatio. At the first hour tomorrow I shall return to Ipswich. Whatever else I lose, I shall keep my pride. But I shall never forgive you, Horatio. Never.
My dearest Emma, in the sight of heaven, I here solemnly take you to witness that I dedicate the rest of my days to you. I never wanted peace nor long life so devoutly as I do now.
Horatio!
Father, you here?
Horatio, I am the bearer of urgent dispatches from the Admiralty.
For me?
Lord Spencer sent them with a lieutenant. They had to be delivered to you at once. A Lieutenant Capel. Your ladyship must pardon my ill manners.
Emma, this is terrible news for you. They expect me in Plymouth by Monday.
Not sailing orders, Horatio?
My ship is fitted. You see here, the hour is very grave. I have the honor to acquaint your lordship that the board is pleased to offer you the command of the Channel Fleet now fitting out for action in the Baltic. Go, Father. Tell the bearer of this message I shall be with the board within the hour.
Lieutenant Capel waits below. I shall so inform him.
Your ladyship's tears make it very hard to go.
No, they're tears of pride, of faith.
It's you who is heroic if the truth were known. And you have given me the only thing yet lacking to complete my life. Emma, I shall leave instructions for your care and support. God bless you and preserve you.
Dear Nelson, go in peace. I know you will come back victorious. England expects it of her champion.
How like you, Emma, to put England first.
Well, from now on, it's Westminster Abbey or victory.
Hardy, are you here?
At your side, my lord.
You know what to do. Give all my effects to Lady Hamilton, whom I have not seen these several years. Take care of my dear Lady Hamilton.
I will, my lord. Is there nothing for yourself that I can do?
No feeling anywhere. But the heart, I think, must go on. must still go on, full of its love. Oh, what a mystery is man's heart. If we understood that, we should understand all. Hardy.
I am here.
I leave Lady Hamilton and my daughter a legacy to the country. Never forget Horatio. Kiss me, Hardy. Now I'm satisfied. Thank God I have done my duty.
Dr. Scott, is he gone?
His heart has stopped.
He was a hero.
A hero after the nation's heart. But what will remain with me always, long after his name has become a household word, is how human he was. He could not have been so complete a hero had he been less of a man.
So ends our Caltex play, England Expects. In a moment we will give you tonight's cast and tell you about next week's presentation in the Caltex Theatre. Ladies and gentlemen, the producer of tonight's Caltex play, Cressick Jenkinson.
Thank you. England Expects was written by Winifred Gerin and adapted for radio by John Sherman. In the starring role you heard...
I was Horatio, Lord Nelson.
This was Don Pascoe. The supporting cast was as follows. Lady Nelson, Laurel Mather. Lady Hamilton, Rosemary Webster. The Reverend Nelson, Geoffrey King. Charles Greville, Peter Carver. Sir William Hamilton, John Alden. Mrs. Cadogan, Nellie Lamport. Dr. Scott, Lionel Stevens. Dr. Beatty, Gavin Dyer.
Thank you, Mr. Jenkinson. Next week in the Caltex Theatre you will hear Close Quarters, a grippingly tense drama of a man and his wife and the few desperate hours they spend listening to a grim radio broadcast of a police hunt for a murderer, a hunt that seems to come terrifyingly closer and closer to home with every passing minute. Co-starring in Close Quarters you will hear Margaret Christensen and Stuart Ginn. Be listening for it next week. Now this is your compere, Rick Hutton, bidding you good night on behalf of your hosts, Caltex Oil, marketers of Caltex Super Gasoline and Caltex Gasoline, the world-famous RPM 1030 Special Motor Oil, and Marfac Lubrication. Welcome to the Caltex Theatre, a full hour of dramatic entertainment broadcast over a nationwide network of stations throughout Australia. The Caltex Theatre is brought to you by Caltex Oil, marketers of over 1,000 outstanding petroleum products, in association with Caltex dealers and distributors everywhere. Tonight in the Caltex Theatre you will hear Daddy-O, a comedy featuring the extraordinary situation that arises when a boy from a completely unmusical family finds himself Skiffle King of England. Starring tonight, you will hear Gwen Plum and Tom Farley. Your producer, Creswick Jenkinson. The Caltex Theatre presents Daddy-O, Act 1.
Another sherry, Major.
Not before sundown, Briggs.
Oh, be a devil, Claude. It's after 6.
No, really, I must be on the move.
Jeff will be sorry he missed you. Briggs, did the Colonel give you any idea when he'd be back?
No, madam. He simply said to expect him for dinner. Perhaps Mr. Harry might know.
Harry? Is he home?
Firmly entrenched. He should be down directly. He's upstairs in his room.
With the guitar?
Oh, poor chap, shocking complaint. Had it myself a while back.
He hasn't got it, sir. He plays it.
Briggs, the Major's hat and coat.
Very good, madam.
Yeah, I thought the boy was at Oxford.
He's done his 3 years. He's been down for a week now.
Still medically minded?
He's rather unsettled. We haven't been able to get him talking about his plans.
Hospital fees will be a bit of a slug for Jeff now they've retired him from the army.
Slug's the word. We don't know yet if we can manage to keep Briggs, let alone anything else. We have our fingers crossed, though. Jeff read of a wonderful job in the Times this morning with a tropical chemistry research company.
Oh, yes, I saw it myself. I expect he'll be in a long queue. Must be hundreds of ex-army wallers who'd fit the bill.
Well, he hopes his experience out east might at least get him an interview.
Certainly should do.
Your hat and coat, sir.
Thank you, Briggs. Well, I've enjoyed our chat, Maud. And give Jeff my best.
I will.
Tell him I'll stop by again in a day or two.
We look forward to it. Goodbye.
Cheerio.
The Major looks exceedingly well, madam.
He does, Briggs. He does indeed.
Hello, the Major gone? Sorry, Mother, thought I'd catch him.
Oh, he couldn't stay, dear. He's meeting someone at the club.
Oh, bad show.
19 hours 30 all right for dinner, madam?
Yes, thank you, Briggs.
Oh, not for me, Briggs.
No, sir. I'll keep yours hot till you get back.
Good man.
Harry, you're not serious about this business tonight.
It's just a spot of fun, Mother. And you never know, it may turn out for the best. If I can pull it off, and I stand a fan chance, I'll make more in 6 weeks than in 6 years as a GP.
Well, I hate to seem old-fashioned, but it's hard to think of this thing as a profession. I mean, what will people say?
Let them say what they please. There's nothing disgraceful in starting a skiffle group.
I suppose not, dear, but what am I to tell your friends when they ask what you're doing? Do I tell them you're a skiffler? Or do I simply use the verb and say, you skiffle?
It's very sweet of you to take it so well.
Thank you, darling. I'm just wondering how sweet your father will be.
I've been rather wondering that myself.
Tell me, what time do you do this skiffling tonight?
8 o'clock at the Hammersmith Palais.
Oh, I do wish I could be there. What are you supposed to do exactly?
It's quite simple. I sing a rock and roll number, and if they like that, I get a trial recording. Then, if it clicks with the Bobby Soxers, Aladdin's lamp is mine.
Oh, this will be your father now. I hope for your sake he's had some luck. Hello, darling. How did it go?
Don't ask me. I'm fuming. Only got as far as the outer office. Confounded place was chock-a-block. There were enough colonels there to plan another Dunkirk.
Oh, you poor dear.
We milled around, swapping lies for 2 hours, and a chit of a girl, undulated from the inner sanctum, glided up to me and asked me to produce my credentials. I gave them to her. She looked at me as if I'd handed her a packet of dirty postcards, then disappeared back into the sanctum. She repeated this performance with all of us, then told us to call back in a week. I gather this is to give the Almighties time to sort this out. Oh, the blazes with them.
Oh, never mind, Dad. You may still hit the jackpot when they read your credentials and interview you.
Interview? I'll be growing bunions in Cheltenham by then. Any news from you people to cheer me up?
Claude stopped by for a moment. He wanted to see you, but couldn't wait.
What about?
Oh, I think he just wanted to commiserate with you about the axing.
I don't want commiseration. I want work. Did you tell him what I was doing?
He feels as you do, that the competition's a bit tough.
I just have to keep up with the advertising columns and see if the world has anything for a sacked colonel.
Sacked rot. You can thank those wretched rockets for blasting you all out of jobs.
Funny, even as a kid I always hated fireworks.
Well, I'll slip out and give Briggs a hand. I'll leave you boys together.
Mother, perhaps...
Good luck, dear.
Good luck? What do you need luck for?
There's something I'd like to talk over with you, Dad, to do with the future.
By all means. It's about time we got things settled. I think by going carefully we can manage your hospital fees.
Dash decent of you, Dad, but it won't be necessary now.
Oh? What do you mean?
Dad, I thought things over last term, and I just don't think I've got the necessary grey matter to qualify decently.
Well, that's a bit of a decision to make. Are you quite sure about this lack of grey matter?
Quite sure. Actually, I'm a bit of a clot. It dawned on me suddenly, but I'm getting used to the idea now.
Really? Well, I suppose I'll have to get used to the idea of being the father of a clot.
I'm sorry if it's a shock, Dad.
Yes, it is, rather. It's not every day a man learns he's produced a brainless son.
It was quite a blow to me when I realized it.
Well, let's think. For the brainless, medicine's definitely out. What do you fancy? Foreign Office or Civil Service?
Oh, Foreign Office needs brains.
A matter of opinion, my boy.
As it happens, Dad, I've an idea of my own I'd rather like to try out.
You have? Well, let's hear it.
You'd better brace yourself.
Bad is that?
I want to go in for music.
What?
Music.
Music? Music? Good Lord. Don't remember any music in the family before. Your Aunt Florrie used to play the harp.
You're not altogether appalled by the idea, then?
Oh, not appalled, no, but I can't say I exactly relish the prospect of seeing you with long hair and a flowing tie.
You needn't worry on that score. I won't be giving you Beethoven or Brahms.
Can't imagine where you get it from. I'm tone deaf myself, and your mother's not much better.
We may have had an ancestor. A minstrel in the court of King Arthur, perhaps?
There was only your Aunt Florrie, to my knowledge, and by no stretch of the imagination could you call her a minstrel. When she plucked away at that harp of hers, I used to tell her it was cruel to cats.
Well, Dad, my music's cool for cats.
Then again, of course, you... what did you say?
Cool for cats.
Cool for cats?
Yes. You see, it's Skiffle.
Never heard of him. I don't know many contemporary composers.
You're making this very difficult for me, Dad. It's too bad you're such a square.
A square? What in heaven's name is a square?
You're not on the beam, Dad. You must have heard of Elvis Presley.
Presley. Oh, yes, there was a Presley in the Gurkhas, but I doubt...
No, Dad, not the army. Elvis the Pelvis.
Elvis the Pelvis?
Yes. He got that name from the Rock.
Gibraltar?
Rock and roll. You've seen it on TV. You always switch it off.
Oh, not that confounded rock me daddy-o nonsense.
Yes, Dad.
Not those lunatics with washboards.
That's it, Dad.
And you want to... What are you, the washboard gentleman?
Guitar and vocal.
Oh, I give up. Here I spend a fortune putting you through Wellington and Oxford, and they send you back wanting to sniffle.
Skiffle, Dad.
Oh, sniffle. What's it matter what you call it?
Please let me explain, Dad. It's not as if I think anything of it. Look, you prefer rugger to soccer, but you wouldn't mind landing £75,000 on the soccer pools.
Where does soccer come into it?
For me to land £75,000, Skiffle's a far better bet than the pools.
Do you seriously expect me to believe that people will pay to hear you singing to a washboard?
Guitar. Yes, I do. After tonight.
Tonight? You're not planning to sing in the streets, are you?
No. At the Palais, the Hammersmith Palais. You've seen those talent competitions, discoveries. I'm only up against 3 other acts tonight. A girl soprano...
Don't tell me a ventriloquist and a coloured gentleman singing Old Man River.
How did you know?
They never miss.
Well, I have a good chance. I'm supposed to be pretty hot at it.
Is that the awful noise you make up in your room?
That's it.
And they'll pay you to make that noise?
Tommy Steele earns $50,000 and more a year for making it.
Oh, am I supposed to know him?
Everybody does.
And while he makes his 50,000, the Prime Minister makes only 5.
Makes you think, doesn't it?
Yes, it makes me think that the House of Commons must be sadly short of washboards.
May I intrude?
Yes. Come in, Mother. I've just been explaining to Dad.
What? No explosions? Jeff, darling, you must be losing your grip.
Well, he's been jolly decent considering. Well, I'd better duck upstairs and get my things. Have to be there for a final run-through at 7 o'clock. I'll see you both before I leave.
Well, there goes a few £1,000 worth of education down the alley.
Not the alley, dear. The Palais.
I don't see that it's any joking matter.
Oh, come, darling. Where's your sense of humour?
Maud, you can't dismiss it like that. What about all our plans for the boy?
It's just a phase he's passing through. The competition will get it out of his system.
But supposing he wins?
He won't. He'll come home with his tail between his legs, wishing he'd never heard of Mr. Pelvis.
Well, I sincerely hope so. I must say I'm disappointed, though. Always thought he was so keen on the medicine idea.
He will be again, dear, after tonight. In any case, could we have managed it?
At a pinch. I saw Stenson yesterday about realizing on my insurances.
Darling, you didn't.
Well, hang it all. We only have one son.
Oh. Remind me to tell you sometime that you're a pet.
Yes, what is it, Briggs?
Excuse me, sir. Madam, leave to speak, sir.
Granted.
Well, sir, madam, the dinner is a cold collation, and I was wondering if I set it all out, whether you'd be able to go into action for yourselves.
We're not in the mood for riddles, Briggs. Whatever it is you have to say, please do so.
Request for a late pass tonight, sir.
Oh, well,
Certainly, Briggs, we can manage. I guess the cold collation was for purpose. You wouldn't by any chance be off to the Hammersmith Palais, would you?
I had entertained such a notion, madam.
Briggs, don't tell me you put him up to this.
Well, sir, I admit I did mention the competition to Mr. Harry, sir. So I feel I ought to support him. He may need a clap or two, sir.
With what he proposes to do, I should think just 2 claps would be a godsend.
Oh, stop it, Jeff. He makes a very nice noise.
And if I may say so, madam, I agree. Reminds me rather of Captain Stewart, sir. His little sing-songs outside Casino.
Those were folk songs, Briggs.
Well, sir, if Mr. Harry renders Swanee River or back to Sorrento, you may have to change your opinion, sir.
Yes, if he sings what I know he's going to sing, I'll have to change my club.
If I get a chance, sir, and get near to him, I'll suggest an Irish ballad. It never fails.
I doubt if an Irish ballad would fit in with his type of music, Briggs. But you better get along if you're going.
Thank you, madam. With your permission, sir, I'll submit a full report on my return.
Well, it's nice to know he'll have one supporter.
Yes, I'd like to see his face when Harry starts up with his skiffling nonsense.
I'd love to see Harry's.
Did I hear my name mentioned?
Harry, darling, what on earth are you wearing?
The new outfit. Do you like it?
Ye gods.
Oh, you better run, dear. Your father looks as though he's going to have a stroke.
I'm off. See you later, alligator.
Yes, dear. I mean, in a while, crocodile. Really, Jeff, I don't know how you can sit there calmly reading the newspaper with Harry due back any minute.
Oh, why shouldn't I be calm? You said yourself there was nothing to worry about. With this absurd competition behind him, he might get down to some serious thinking about his career.
Poor boy. He was so set on winning. It'll be just such a disappointment for him. Do hope the audience didn't throw things.
If they did, it'd be no more than he deserved. Sounds like him now.
Now, be gentle with him, dear. Remember his own... Briggs!
Oh, sir. Oh, madam.
Tell us the worst, Briggs. We're prepared.
It was horrible, sir. Horrible. Poor Mr. Harry.
Don't spare us, Briggs. You promised us a full report.
I tried to advise him, sir, to suggest a good song, but he didn't seem to understand.
Oh?
So many people, it took me half an hour to get through. Finally, I managed it. I whispered to him, "Does your mother come from Ireland?" And he said, "Don't be a fool, Briggs. She was born in Tunbridge Wells."
Oh, dear.
And after that?
He got up to sing. Hideous, sir. No other word could describe it. He stood there on the stage in front of 3 other gentlemen, one at the piano, another with a washing board, and the third had a broomstick stuck in a soapbox with a string on it.
What did he sing?
I'm not sure, madam, but he kept asking his father not to rock him. Then it happened, sir. When he finished, the whole crowd went mad. They kept shouting, "Go, man, go!" But he just wouldn't. I think that's when he lost his head, sir. He started to sing again. That was the last straw. The audience went completely berserk. I'll never forget it. They just rushed screaming at poor Mr. Harry. I couldn't look. You know how I hate the sight of blood, sir.
How awful.
I think you'd better contact the hospital, sir. I really do.
And the police.
You're quite sure about this, Briggs?
Oh, believe me, sir, the last thing I saw was Mr. Harry facing that howling mob, like Gordon at cartoons, sir. Then he was submerged in the ugly rush. Oh, 6 to 4, the hospital.
I'll take it. Hello? Yes, it's his father speaking. A riot? Yes, we've been told. What? Keep him here? Of course you will. Oh. Very well, you'll be along. Most kind of you. Thank you. Goodbye.
Jeff, who was it, dear?
Queer customer. One of those psychiatry birds, I think. Says to keep Harry here, and on no account let anyone get at him before he arrives. I imagine he wants to examine him first.
Oh, thank heaven for that. Old Patterson always takes hours to get here. And if Harry's badly hurt...
Don't let's panic. It may not be as bad as it sounds. One thing's certain, though. After this, we won't dare show our faces in society. Our name will be mud.
Begging your pardon, sir, but that calamity may yet be avoided. He didn't use his real name, sir.
He didn't?
No, sir. Instead of Harry Hopkinson, he called himself Bill Bright.
Bill Bright? Where did you get that from?
Oh, most professional people use other names, dear.
I understand it's referred to as a nom de plume, sir. Derived from...
The front door.
Compose yourself, my dear. We must be brave about this.
Mr. Harry!
Mom. Dad.
Oh, my poor darling. What have they done to you?
Steady on, old chap. Don't try to talk. We know all about it.
Oh, I'm finished.
Lie down on the couch, dear. You're home now, safe and sound.
Oh, you should have seen them. I'm lucky to be alive.
Fetch some brandy, Briggs.
At once, sir.
Oh, those horrid people. However did you escape, darling?
I managed to jump a cab. It was...
Quick, Briggs, that'll be the doctor.
Doctor? Who wants a doctor?
You must put yourself in his hands, Harry. They know their jobs, these fellows.
But... Mother, is Dad all right?
There, dear. We won't leave you.
Won't leave me? What are you talking about? Has everyone gone stark raving mad?
Dr. Sidney Bird.
Ah, Doctor, thank heaven you're here.
Hold it, Dad. I'm no doctor.
What? Didn't you phone up a short time ago about my son?
Oh, I phoned up right enough, but I never said anything about being a doctor.
Hey, didn't I see you at the Palais?
That you did, Billy boy, and from here in you're going to be seeing a lot more of me. Now then, let's get down to business. There's no time to be lost. All I want is 25%, and I'll steer you right to the top. Put yourself in my hands.
Look here, will someone please explain what this is all about?
It's simple enough, Dad. You have at this moment got your hooks on a gold mine.
Gold mine?
He sits right there before you. Billy Bright, the new king of Skiffle. Take it from yours truly, Sid Berg. Winning that competition tonight was only a start.
Winning?
That's what I said.
But
I was going to tell you, Dad, but you didn't give me the chance.
Oh, this is quite beyond me. Maud?
It seems our boy was a success, darling.
Success? He was a sensation. In all my years in the entertainment business, I never seen nothing like it. That's why I'm here now, to sign him up before the vultures get at him.
Ah, you're an agent.
Honest Sid Berg, the best of the bunch, 25%. What'd you say?
Oh, well,
Done. You'll never regret it, Billy boy. If you're not earning 1,000 nickel a week in a couple of months' time, I'll sign the pledge.
£1,000 a week?
I'll sign the pledge right now.
Right, it's all set. Now comes the start of the big build-up. Publicity. First, we got to get his background right. Where he lives, Dad's profession, where he went to school and so on.
Well, that's easy enough. I live here in Kensington. Dad's a colonel in the army, or rather he was till a short time ago. And I'm just down from Oxford now.
Wait a bit. That won't do. No, it won't do at all. Call that a background for a skiffle king?
What more do you want? Castles and a title? A villa on the Riviera?
Oh, worse and worse. A skiffle king must be of the people. One of them. The great unwashed. I asked you, where would Tommy Steele be today if he'd gone to Arrow? Up the flipping pole, that's where. Oh, not that I've got anything against universities and such, mind you. For MPs and share pushers, nothing's better. But for a skiffle king, rank poison. He's got to come from the gutter.
The gutter?
Well, he may make it from the curb, but no higher.
In other words, you want to tell the press that Harry comes from humble origin.
Harry?
Billy.
That's better. No, we don't tell the press, we show 'em. That's the gimmick.
You mean show them Harry in humble surroundings?
Mother, I go for you. You're the one on the ball in this family.
Are you suggesting that Harry has to live in a slum just to satisfy his, fans?
I'm not suggesting, I'm telling you. You all have to live in a slum to satisfy his fans.
Mother and father as well?
No, Mum and Dad.
Oh.
You're a poor boy, see. You went hungry, missing your dinners, walking to the factory to save the bus fares till you were able to buy a guitar. Your first chance to pally. You make good. Mum needn't take in washing anymore. She gets her first real fur coat.
Thank you, dear.
More, Dad.
And you, Dad. No more smoking Navy Twist. A twofer every day.
A twofer?
Cigars, two for a bob. There's your gimmick.
I say, isn't this laying it on a bit thick?
Not if you're going to make good, it isn't. In the next couple of weeks, it's essential you get the right kind of publicity. Then, as soon as your records click and the lottery starts rolling in, a grateful son buys his dear old mum and dad a posh flat in Kensington. Got it? What a headline. Whopping to West Kensington.
Whopping!
Oh, I've got a pal who deals in some very dicey property down there. It's a natural.
It's wonderful. You see, darling, it's only a few weeks' discomfort, and then a fortune in our laps.
Oh, of all places, whopping!
I'm sorry, Dad. I wish now I hadn't won the wretched competition.
Oh, sacrilege!
I didn't realise my family would have to suffer.
Billy boy, if you know of any suffering what carries an annual 50,000 quid price tag, lead me to it.
Oh, don't worry, Harry. It's just a strangeness of the idea. I might even enjoy whopping.
I know I'm going to.
I'll get you river frontage. Congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Bright. You've got a good boy there, a golden boy. I'll be along tomorrow to collect you both.
So soon?
I'll be toddling. From now on, time is money, your money. Expect me first thing in the morning. Here we are, you lucky people. Home from home.
Good Lord.
Oh, dear.
Watch out where you tread. You're liable to go through the floor, and close the door gentle or you won't have one.
You don't mean to tell us that human beings have actually lived in this place?
They're doing it all round you, Dad. This here's one of 6. There's 5 other apartments in the building, some of them even worse.
Impossible.
Well, now you've voiced your approval, let me remind you that gold generally comes out of holes, and this is no exception.
Hole's the word.
Now, don't be too down, darling. But it gets too much for us. We can just close our eyes and imagine we're back in Kensington.
Any suggestions on how we can close our noses?
Smells like a rat's pig there under the floorboards. They come up out of the river.
Oh, charming.
I'll get busy with a duster and some polish. Make things look better before Harry gets here.
Before Bill gets here. No slip-ups now.
Oh, I feel completely at sea.
You look it too. Second round coming up. We've got your background. Now we've got to fit you two into it.
How do you mean?
The clobber. Clothes. You can't live in Wapping and dress in Savile Row.
Damn it, man, we haven't any clothes that'll fit in here.
Well, I have. Why do you think I lug these suitcases along?
Oh, what fun! I've always loved dressing up.
For pity's sake, Maud, try to act your age.
Your missus has the right approach to this. She wants to help her son. All right, off you go and tog up. I'll take the gents Natty back to your flat if you like.
I see what you mean now. We would look a trifle conspicuous like this.
Well, why do you think I went to so much trouble to sneak you in without being spotted? They're wide in this district. Once let them guess our little secret, and the only record we'll be interested in is how quick we can scarp her out of here.
Oh, we won't let you down.
Of course you won't. Here, Dad, you take the cases. There's clothes in this one and grub in the other.
What about linen? Sheets?
All attended to by Sid Berg, the universal provider. The sheets are blankets, clean, I promise you, and you don't talk about linen in Wapping.
Oh.
Up you go now and make it snappy. I'll wait here.
Come along, darling.
A week of this and I'll be fit for a straitjacket.
Hello. Just moved in?
That's right, Pop. A couple of pals of mine, victims of the rent tax. You a neighbour?
Next door along. Heard you coming in, thought I'd step by and pay me respects, friendly like.
Oh, I'm glad you did. Always in the market for a chat. What's your line, Pop?
Retired.
Yeah? To what pub?
Coach and horses. Feel like a noggin?
Any other time I'd be proud. But I've got to get my pal settled in first.
Oh, pretty. We could have gone round the clock a couple of times.
Oh, I'm not too hot with the darts, Pop.
I've coached half the boys round here. Middle for diddle, they call me. Did your pals play?
Not off. You're living next door to the Tooting Terror. Better known as King of the Treble 20.
Blimey. He wouldn't want to play me, I suppose.
You asked him, Pop.
What's his racket?
Racket? He's a Billingsgate fish porter.
A bit of all right, eh? You working now?
Bet your life. He gets to the market about 4 each morning. He's back before us lucky blighters are out of bed.
Dad! Dad, are you there?
And my daughter, Lorraine. I'm in here, number 4. What's up now?
Mum says you've got to get... Oh, they're yours.
Hello there.
Hello. You better get a move on, Dad, or the store will be closed and Mum will skin you.
Oh, blimey, I forgot. See you around, Cock.
Righto, Pop, we'll get together. Well,
I'm sorry, I'm sure. I'm an intrusion.
I like intrusions when they're the right shape.
You're one for figures, aren't you?
An expert, that's me.
Here, keep your hands to yourself.
Sorry, love, slip of the wrists.
I can see I'll have to stay out of your range.
Don't worry, I won't be around for long.
expect if you're living here.
I'm not. Mr. and Mrs. Blight and their son have moved in. I'm just lending hands.
Right.
Does it ring a bell?
Can't say it does, should it?
It will, it will. Do you dance?
Now and then.
Hammersmith?
Off and on.
You weren't there last night by any chance?
As a matter of fact, I was. Why?
Did you see the skiffle boy?
Did I? What an epcat he turned out to be. He's got it all. I never stopped screaming it. Here. You don't know him, do you?
I told you I'm moving Mr. and Mrs. Bright plus son into this desirable residence.
Bright. Of course, that's him. Billy Bright.
Right first time.
You mean he's going to be living next door to me?
Under the very same roof. He's recording today, but he'll be along later. That's it, love. Swoon away. I'll be right here to catch you when you fall.
And so the curtain falls on Act 1 of tonight's Caltex play, Daddy-O.
Anywhere you care to travel, motorists agree. The Caltex star stands for better service. Drive right in and see.
Caltex Butane Boosted is the gasoline made to take better care of your car's performance. Caltex Butane Boosted gasolines give faster starting, smoother acceleration, and more economical running. Next time you fill up, change to Caltex. See if you don't feel the difference. See if your car doesn't respond more readily, tick over more smoothly and steadily. The gasolines designed for today's faster pace, Caltex Butane Boosted gasolines.
The Caltex Theatre now presents Gwen Plum and Tom Farley in Daddy-O, Act 2.
Well, here we are, Sid. What do you think of us?
Not half bad, Mum, not half bad. Turn around, Dad. Get that jacket off. Dads don't wear coats in the house. And you dispense with that makeup, Mum. There's no place for Lizzie Arden and Max Factor in this establishment. A nice greasy face from now on.
There. Is that better?
Still something not quite right. Your hair, Dad, too natty. Do it with a quiff and... I got it, the specs. They don't wear them sort of glasses in Wapping. Get 'em off.
But I can't see a thing without them. My sight was the Army's main excuse for sacking me.
If they see through you here, you'll be sacked properly.
Well, there's one consolation. This place won't look so bad without 'em.
That's the spirit. Now let's have a deco. Yes, we're coming on fine. Wait a minute, a finishing touch is needed. I know, just the thing. Solly Bloomfield can fix us up. He's not 5 minutes from here. Stay under cover till I get back. Oh, it won't be 2 shakes of a donkey's whisker.
Maud, this is intolerable. Lord only knows what he's up to now.
Oh, don't be an old grouch, darling. I'm enjoying every second of it. Do you know, when I was little, I used to dress up at the drop of a hat.
Damn it, it's all right for you, but I can't go about like this. It's too much. This disgusting hovel, these absurd clothes. I'm not even allowed to wear my glasses. I tell you, it's a...
Oh, Harry.
Greetings, fellow lodgers. Oh, no. Oh, no. I don't believe it. Oh, these clothes, they're perfect. Oh, I see. You are a couple of sports.
Not a bit of a darling. We're having the time of our lives. Aren't we, Jeff?
Absolutely.
Oh, it's a bit thick, though. Sid ought to draw the line somewhere.
Oh, it's the details that count, dear. But don't keep us in suspense. Tell us about the recording.
It couldn't have gone off better. They were really enthusiastic. They say I'm a natural, that I'll be in the big money in no time.
Oh, that makes it all worthwhile. Clever boy.
I'd feel a lot happier if you two weren't involved.
With £50,000 a year at stake, we're not complaining.
But the discomfort...
Here we are, here we are. What's your Billy boy? I've got just a thing for you, Dad. Here. Clip this one on.
What in thunderation?
Oh, it's a moustache.
Regular walrus job. On with it, Dad. No one will ever recognise you now. Just clip it So, yeah, I'll give you Mr. Blight of Wapping. Throw the gent a fish.
Dad, you look absolutely spiffing.
Magnificent, darling. He's quite right. No one would pick you in 1,000 years.
Gent reminds me, by your trade, you're a Billingsgate fish port.
What?
A dab of cod under the ears and the disguise is complete.
No, I can't breathe. Get the thing off. Get it off.
You'll get used to it.
But surely you don't expect me to wear it all the time.
We can't take any chances, Dad. Your big danger's the neighbours. While you was dressing, I had a visit from Big Chief Nosy Parker and his daughter. They live next door. The old boy's the village gossip and the daughter's Bill's first registered fan. When I told her who she was living next to, she all but passed away on the spot.
But she hasn't seen me yet.
Hasn't she? She was at the Pally last night. Cool, look at the time, I've got a shift. Now you just watch yourself, Dad, you're the weak link. Be careful how you talk to the natives.
That won't be necessary. If the occasion arises, I'll just say, how do you do, and pass on.
How do you do and pass on nothing? You'll say what your cock will pass out. Any of your Puna or Northwest Frontier accent and we're flat on our Khyber. The accent here is good old Bow Bells, and that goes for all of you. Cockneys born and bred, see? Right, tomorrow we start on the press. Pictures of Dad by the kitchen fire. Mum at the sink.
But someone's bound to recognise us.
In those get-ups, not on your suite. Sit tight and leave everything to me. Leave everything to me.
Oh, what cheer, cock. Oh, my sainted aunt.
You'll make a wonderful Cockney, darling, and so will I.
I honestly don't know how I'm going to thank you two when this is all over.
I doubt if I should be around to be thanked. I can feel rigor mortis setting in already.
Oh, I beg your pardon. A wrong apartment.
No, Briggs, it's us.
What? Oh no, madam. Oh, no.
That's right, Briggs, old chap. You're in the presence of Billy Bright and his mum and dad.
But the Colonel...
Here I am, Briggs.
Oh.
Don't take it too hard, Briggs. It's only for a few weeks. What's the suitcase for, anyway? Moving in with us?
Oh, heaven forbid. Your pardon, sir. It's the toilet things in your pyjamas, Colonel. I'll be popping in each day with the mail and any messages.
Oh, good for you, Briggs. Oh, dear. Who can this be?
Briggs, you can be my brother, Jack.
Your brother Jack, sir?
Greetings, one and all. Ridge Parker's the name from next door. Just come in to say hello.
Thanks, Cock. This is my, Mrs.
Pleased to meet you, love.
And my son, Billy.
Watcher.
What's wrong with his highness here, Wind?
That's my brother Jack. Helps me with the heavy fish. He's not feeling too happy today. There's a talk of putting him onto kippers. Ain't that right, Jack?
Rather partial to kippers myself. Oh, by the way, your pal who was here earlier tells me you're a dab hand at the old darts.
Who, me?
Oh, yes. We have an old suitcase full of cups and medals. What are yours, one?
You don't tell me. We must have a game, boy. I'll introduce you to our local bunch. Not in your class, but we might pick up a few points.
Yes, yes. Well, I haven't had much practice lately.
Dad!
Oh, there we go again. Well, I'll be seeing you all later, eh? Take care of your throne hand, boy. You'll be needing it.
Maud, what a fool thing to tell him. Suitcase full of cups. I couldn't hit a dartboard with a shotgun.
Don't blame me, darling. Blame Sid. It was his story. I just went along.
It's a pity we didn't think to take a course in Cockney slang before we started.
I was about to say the same thing. Now, look, isn't there some book we can get on it?
Well, perhaps I could assist you, madam.
You, Briggs?
I struck quite a bit of it in the army.
Well, what are you waiting for, Briggs? Fire away.
Well, sir, for instance, in these parts one doesn't sleep. One lays down for a kip.
A kip, eh? How jolly.
Referring to your feet, sir, plates or plates of meat.
Oh, this is fun. Go on, Briggs, please.
The fire, madam. Anna Maria. Door, Jane Shaw.
That must be her now. Come in.
Oh, I hope I'm not interrupting something.
Not at all, Ducks.
I'm from next door. I think you've met Dad already.
That we have, dearie. Sit down. Take the weight off your plates.
I beg yours?
There's a draft coming in. Better close the Anna Maria.
Jane Shaw, sir.
Oh, well, close it anyway.
Yes, sir.
Oh, don't mind him, Ducks. He's just been laying for a kip. He hasn't woken up proper yet.
I suppose you mean he's been having his sleep. We don't talk like that in our family. Mother says it's common.
Briggs, take a week's notice.
Eh?
What can we do for you, dear?
Oh, Mum wants to know if she can borrow a little sugar. She's clean out.
Why, of course. I'll get you some.
You're Billy Bright, aren't you?
That's me.
You really sent me last night.
I did.
Seems kind of funny, though. Someone like you living in a dump like this. I wouldn't be shotting it myself. What's wrong with him?
Too many toofers. It's only for the time being till my records click, and then we'll all be moving to a smashing flat in Kensington.
Cool. Flying a bit high, aren't you?
Will,
Here we are, ducks. And tell your ma not to worry about sending it back.
Oh, thanks a lot. They'll be seeing you around, Billy boy. Ta-ta, all. Thanks again, Mrs. Bright.
Don't mention it, dear.
The original Teddy boy's dream.
Mother says it's common. Oh, Briggs and his plates of meat.
Well, I'll be getting back, sir. I don't like leaving the flat empty too long.
You've been a great help, Briggs. Thank you.
Thank you, madam.
See you tomorrow, Briggs. Have a good kip, won't you?
I'll try, sir.
And while you're about it, think of us bedding down with the rats.
Rats, sir?
They come up out of the river to die, right under our feet. And frankly, I don't blame them. Must we have that blasted noise? It's driving me insane.
You must be unique, darling. Father to the sensational Billy Bright, skiffle king of the century, and you're a square.
All I know is I'm being slowly driven up the wall. For a month we've been in this place, a solid month, and our only form of relaxation has been listening to rock and roll on the radio.
It won't be for much longer, dear. Sid gave us his word we'd be out of here soon.
He gave us his word 2 weeks ago.
I'll go. It's probably Briggs with our mail. Come in, Briggs.
All clear, madam.
All clear.
Well, Briggs, what's new in West Kensington?
Very little, I'm happy to say, sir. Except that I've been having some bother with Major Chetwynd, sir.
Claude? What's he been up to?
Well, he keeps on calling to see if you've returned, sir. I believe he suspects I may have murdered you both and disposed of your bodies.
What have you told him?
That you're enjoying a river holiday, sir.
I trust you didn't mention what part of the river?
Oh, no, sir.
Good. With any luck, we'll be back by the end of the week.
You'll find everything in readiness, sir.
Bless you, Briggs. You're a gem.
I try to give satisfaction, madam.
Anyone home?
I knew it was too good to last.
Come in, me old cock sparrow.
Whatcha? Well, if it ain't Brother Jack. Whatcha, me auntie? How's the wrist, Jeff boy?
Oh, still troublesome.
Too bad. Just when I'd lined up a good game of darts. Harry Corbett and Dick Smith are getting swelled heads about it. So they can wipe the floor with you. As for Joe Duncan, he's been saying you're all talk. But they'll believe that treble 20 stuff when he sees it and not before. Imagine that.
Imagine that.
I forgot to ask him. How'd you do it anyway? Sprain your wrist?
At the market. Flipping right turbot slipped off me shoulder. I tried to save it and Bob's your uncle.
There's the lesson. Fish and darts don't mix.
Well, I've packed it up this week. Harry, Bill's doing so well with his records, I can afford to sit back and relax.
Well, that's the style. Here, what about you, Sunshine?
I beg your pardon?
Play darts at all?
Well, when I was in the army,
Enough said. Come on, Cock. It's on for young and old at the Old Coach and Horses.
Now, Reg, don't you lead Briggs, Brother Jack astray. I don't trust you.
What, me? Pure as the driven snow. Let's go, Jackie boy.
But,
Go ahead, Jack. Enjoy yourself.
Yes, madam. Will that be all, sir?
Your excuse, Jack.
Thank you, sir.
After you, Cock. This I'm looking forward to.
Oh, poor Briggs. I hope he doesn't get out of his depth.
If he tries to match Reg's drink for drink, he'll be drowned. Well, I think I'll get a breath of polluted air. If I'm wanted, I'll be out the back.
All right, dear.
Don't get up, Mum. It's only Billy and me.
Oh, hello, Sid. Have a good day, Harry?
Did he have a good day? Mum, he's done it again. If his latest don't hit the top 10, I'm a pig's uncle. Rock me, baby, I'm a jelly. Real smasheroo. Another day or so and he'll be turning down 2,000 a week.
Oh, darling, how wonderful. Now we can take it easy.
Take it easy, nothing. You don't take it easy on 2,000 a week.
Oh, now look here, Sid. I don't want to sound ungrateful, but this farce can't go on forever. Mum and Dad are...
Be of good cheer, boy. Your fairy godmother is working for you at this very minute. With the aid of a few magic words and a pumpkin or two, you may even be wafted back to Kensington before nightfall.
Sid, you don't mean that.
Believe it or not, Mum, we're as good as on our way.
Oh, thank heaven.
Someone tell me I'm not dreaming. Oh, this is the day we've all been praying for. Sid, you're wonderful.
I can't wait to tell Dad.
Now, hold it just a minute. It's the bright lights, it's the West End. Billy Blight on top of the world, but still Billy Blight from Wapping. Never forget that, boy, not for a single second.
Oh, don't worry, I won't.
Right. The open sesame for Kensington this afternoon is implicit obedience and no questions asked. Agreed?
Agreed.
Abracadabra. Stand aside and give me room. Your fairy godmother is about to perform. Shan't be a moment.
Where are you going?
Round the corner to fetch a pumpkin.
What a man.
I feel like a fraud. He does all the work. All I do is shake my head, strum wrong notes, and see that no one understands a word I'm singing.
Did I sit in here a minute ago?
You did, darling, and guess what?
What?
The day has finally dawned. Darling, we're going home, back to Kensington.
I don't believe
It's true, Dad. This afternoon we're...
Leave me go, Sid. You're hurting me arm.
Billy boy, meet your fiancée.
I what?
Sid, have you gone mad?
It's an inspiration. A gimmick to end all gimmicks. The boy from Wapping to wed boiled sweetheart. When they was kids, he carried her books to school. They used to swing on the garden gate.
He's bonkers. The only gate we got's been offered Ginger since Noah learned to count.
You're gonna be a big help, you are, full of imagination. Why the sourpuss anyway? Isn't this what you've been after?
I think I should have been asked first.
You've got nothing to beef about, beautiful. Fiancée to a skiffle king. Any girl will give her right arm for the chance.
If he's anything like you, I'll need both arms. And I still say I should have been asked.
She's perfectly right, Sid. You had absolutely no
She
right...
was asked. I went in there and said, come on, girl, grab yourself a hunk of man. I couldn't have been more plain than that, now could I?
To the point, I must say.
It was Billy's place to do it, not yours.
All right, and Billy's gonna do it, aren't you, Billy boy?
Why,
Most certainly not. I've gone along with everything else, but this I forbid.
Dad, I don't think you understand. Or you either, Lorraine. It's purely a publicity stunt. It doesn't mean anything.
Publicity first and last, that's our watchword. Now, come on, you kids, just as you are. Come on outside.
What for?
To have your photos taken, that's what I want this to at the evening papers. Hustle it up now.
Lead on, General. We're right behind my Aunt Duchess.
It's all very well for you two, but I still think I should have been asked.
Oh, poor Harry. What a companion.
Sid's overstepped the mark. This time he's gone too far.
Oh, well, does it really matter, dear? I mean, if it's only for publicity purposes, why should we worry? There'll be no courting.
All the same, I wouldn't trust that baggage an inch. She's nothing
Now,
but...
darling.
Well, I wouldn't. Confounded, Maud.
Rich!
Jeff, boy, who's at it?
Who's at what?
Your brother Jack. You should have warned me.
Warned you about what, man?
Him being a tenderfoot.
Tenderfoot?
One flipping nip of special, that's all he had, just one to limber up his throwing arm and finger. Down he goes like a ton of lead. Stone flipping cold.
All right, boys, that's all for now. See, we make the headlines. Billy Boy and family hits Kensington with fiancée in tow. Make it big and make it loud and come again when they've settled in proper. Ooh, reporters. Be the death of me, they will, but I love 'em. I love 'em one and all.
Oh, I never knew there were so many.
Oh, you must have had the whole of Fleet Street here.
Why not? The more the merrier. Oh, just you wait till you see the spread you get, Billy Boy. They'll do you proud. Then tomorrow there's the shopping expedition. Billy buys Mum her first fur coat. Dad gets that suit. You haven't said a word yet, Dad. Why so quiet?
I still haven't realized it. We're home. We're actually home. Tonight I'll be able to have a bath. My first for a month. You'll never get me out, never.
What's this? Pa Bright looking forward to a bath?
It's one of his little idiosyncrasies, Lorry Go. Being in the fish business, he loves the water. Here, let's have a gander out of that window, Mum. How's the mob behaving?
I've never seen such a crowd. And to think they've all gathered just for a glimpse of our Harry. I mean, our Billy.
I wish to heaven they'd go home.
I don't know, I'm sure. Those out there, for me, they could stay all night. Look, there's coppers and everything.
Better not show yourself, Billy Boy. If they catch sight of you, there'll be a riot.
Someone shut the window. That racket's getting on my nerves.
Look for the soul, Dad. Well, slaves, you done a great job. Couldn't have gone off better. You in particular, Mum. Munching fish and chips while they interviewed you. Lovely touch, lovely.
Thank you.
I thought it was real bad manners. She should never ought to talk with a mouth full like that.
Don't you believe it, beautiful? It's done in the best... Hellow's this?
Oh, not more reporters. I couldn't stomach it.
Where is he? Mr. Bright, where is he?
Right here, chum. What do you want with him?
I'm Septimus Pusey, the new secretary in charge of these flats.
How do you do?
Are you Bright?
I am.
Well, if you don't want the law on you, you'll best do something about dispersing that mob of hooligans down there.
Wouldn't let the mayor call them that, Dreamboat.
They're sitting all around the stairs singing. You can't keep them out of the lift. When I protested, all they said was, "See you later, elevator," and shot up 2 more floors. The other residents are livid.
All right, Cock, I'll tell you what. You and me and Lorraine here will go and distribute some photographs. That'll keep them quiet.
Photographs?
A Billy boy, personally autographed. They'll go home happy then.
They'd want to, because if they don't, I'm warning you...
We know. Come on, let's go. You too, beautiful. I've got a whole stack of them in the car.
Don't see why I always have to be dragged into everything.
Ah, alone at last.
But not for long, I fear. I say, where's Briggs got to?
He went to his room to lie down for a bit, Dad. He's still feeling a bit wobbly from this morning.
Poor soul. He was in a shocking state.
I beg your pardon, sir. Madam, did someone call?
Ah, there you are, Briggs. How's the head?
Still a trifle woozy, sir.
Feel well enough to help me prepare supper for 4, Briggs?
4, madam?
Well, Sid and Lorraine won't be staying, but we'd like Brother Jack to join us to celebrate our first night back.
Oh, no, madam. You left Brother Jack in Wapping.
Tonight he's in West Kensington, Briggs, and that's an order.
Yes, sir. Most kind of you, sir, madam. Oh, I've laid out fresh linen in your best suit, sir, and also I have the bath running.
Ah, paradise. Make it brimful and red hot.
Very good, sir.
Come along, Briggs. The kitchen awaits us. You two relax and make the most of things before Sid and Lorraine get back.
Leave it to us, my dear. Well, Harry, now it's all over, it's certainly been worth it. Have you worked out what your first year's income will amount to?
Somewhere in the region of 100,000, I imagine. That's records, personal appearances, advertising, all the other gimmicks and things up.
Yeah, remarkable fellow, that. Ought to be Chancellor of the Exchequer.
He says it's only chicken feed to what it will be next year.
And the year after that?
No year after that, Dad.
What?
Another 12 months and I pack this nonsense up. I'll have all the money I need.
My boy, you can't be serious.
I've never been more so, Dad. Billy Bright, the Skiffle King, will descend from his washboard throne and become once more Harry Hopkinson, medical student.
But you...
No buts, Dad. My mind's made up. I'll be able to pay my own hospital fees, even buy a practice. And there'll be no need for you and Mother to scrape ever again.
My dear boy...
I couldn't have done it without your help, Dad. And I want you to know I'm very grateful.
Oh, rot. We did no more than any other parents would do. Admittedly, we did...
Inside, you two! Quick! Hurry it!
Oh. Sid, what's happened?
Oh, we only just made it. They don't want photos, they want flesh and blood. Poor old pussy here went close to getting crucified.
You'll pay for this, Bright. I'm off to contact my superiors, and if I get the orders I anticipate, you'll be out of here lock, stock and barrel within the hour.
I wouldn't go out the front way if I were you, old chap. Better use the fire escape.
That, young man, is exactly what I intend to do.
He should moan. Look what they done to me dress. It's ripped to shreds.
Oh, I'd lend you me coat to cover it up if they hadn't snatched it too.
Here, take mine. I said, look, I'm sorry for all this.
Don't apologise, boy. For years to come. This is your life.
Not for years, Sid. For 1 year.
Aye?
A year after this current one, then I'm packing it in.
Are you off your trolley?
I'm going to be a doctor.
Doctor? Call, you need a doctor, I'll tell you that.
It's what I want to do. What I feel I must do. I hope you understand, Sid.
I understand, Billy boy. I've always wanted to be a market gardener myself. Who knows? One of these days I might even make it.
Sid, you never cease to astonish me.
It's a fact. If this skiffle racket lasts a few more years, you'll find me with a string of glass houses growing rhubarb. Oh, I'm not saying I'm happy to see a gold mine closed down when it's only half worked, but there'll be others, dozens of them. Next time we might even have a skiffle queen. How's that for a gimmick, eh?
Here, what are you looking at me like that for?
Why not, beautiful? You could do it.
That settles it. You're all cuckoo.
I think it's a grand idea.
I don't even sing in tune.
Well, who does these days?
As for the guitar, all you need is 3 chords. Billy here could teach you in 5 minutes flat, right, boy?
Less.
There you are, you see. Nothing to it.
What about our engagement?
Oh, definitely out, I'm afraid. A doctor can't have a skiffle queen for a wife.
Absolutely not.
Don't break your heart, beautiful. I'll find you someone to fill the bill. Just leave it to Sid. Now you run along. Out the back way. I'll be in touch.
Promise?
Cross me heart.
Well, all right. Bye, all. Be seeing you.
Sid, you're incorrigible.
I have to be dead. How else would I live?
Well, I'm glad to find you all in a merry mood.
Well, if it ain't old Pussy, back for his milk.
Never mind the humour. I've had words with my superiors, and their orders are that you leave the building at once.
What? Who leaves the building?
You, madam, together with your husband and your son and everyone else connected with you. And if you don't do so of your own accord, you'll be forcibly ejected.
You can't put us out of our own flats.
What about our lease?
You've broken every condition of the lease. Moreover, said lease is not in your name, sir. It's in the name of one Colonel Hopkinson, and we do not allow sublets.
Oh, what are we arguing about? This isn't the only doss house in the West End. There's 100 others who'll fall over themselves for the privilege of having Billy Bright stay under their roof.
With 5,000 screaming delinquents in his wake, I think not, sir.
I have a horrible feeling he's right.
I have the same horrible feeling.
Pardon me, madam, but should I serve the dinner in here, or would you prefer it...
You won't be serving it anywhere on these premises, my good man. Might I suggest the Thames Embankment? They tell me it's a favourite spot for outcasts.
Get out of here, you
Lay a
little-
finger on me, sir, and I'll sue you for assault. In any case, I'm going. But mark me well. You leave here immediately, or else...
I knew it.
Surely there's some way out of this.
Oh, I'm afraid he's got us scuppered, Billy boy.
But what are we going to do?
First, I'll fix tomorrow's headlines.
Don't tell me there's publicity in this.
Are you kidding? It'll make the story of the century. West End turns Billy Bright out. He can entertain them, but he can't live with them, so what does he do?
You tell us.
He goes back where he come from, that's what.
Back where... Oh, no!
Number 4, Prospect Street, Wapping.
Oh, Sid, you can't mean that. Look, we couldn't.
It'll only be for just over a year. You said so yourself.
Yeah, but...
Hello? Give me the news desk.
Well, at least we don't have to go to all the trouble of packing again.
Some consolation. Where are you off to, Briggs?
To turn off the bath, sir.
So ends our Caltex play, Daddy-O. In a moment, we will give you tonight's cast and tell you about next Sunday's Caltex play. Ladies and gentlemen, the producer of tonight's Caltex play, Cressick Jenkinson.
Thank you. Daddy-O was written by Robert Monroe and adapted for radio by Ross Napier. In the starring roles you heard...
I played Maud Hopkinson.
This was Gwen Plum.
And I played Colonel Jeff Hopkinson.
This was Tom Farley. The supporting cast was as follows. Harry Hopkinson, Mark Kelly. Reg and Pusey, David Eadie. Briggs, Keith Jarvis. Sid Berg, Douglas Hayes. Lorraine, Jeanette Craig.
Thank you, Mr. Jenkinson. Next week in the Caltex Theatre, you will hear a wonderfully heartwarming story of old New England, where on the American continent, the Scottish family of Abram Mackenzie preserved the dour customs and ways bred in them. How it took the heaven-sent arrival of a rough and ready gold miner to bridge the gap of misunderstanding between Abram and his young son is the story of The Devil as a Roaring Lion, which will star Ray Hartley as the boy Joel. Don't miss it next week. Now this is your compere, Rick Hutton, bidding you good night on behalf of your hosts, Caltex Oil, marketers of Caltex Super Gasoline and Caltex Gasoline, the world-famous RPM 1030 Special Motor Oil, and Marfac Lubrication.